Hello and welcome back to the Final Corner podcast. On this week's show, we're going to be taking a look back at the 2020 F1 season, and to wrap up a dominant year for Mercedes again, I've got Tom with me again. Hello.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you listen to it. Pleasure to be back. How you doing?
Yep. Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just ready to reminisce about excellent F1 season in the end, I think.
Yeah,
you might have a
certainly.
different opinion.
No, it's probably one of the most enjoyable seasons I can remember, especially considering there wasn't a title fight at all.
Yeah, that's really good news because Mercedes dominance was one thing, but everyone else was falling over each other and we were going to new circuits in the world. There was also the uncertainty. So actually the main thing probably was well done for F1 for actually getting something happening in the end. I guess there was a tremendous effort there. And when it all kicked off in Adelaide at the start of the year, we thought, oh, maybe there won't be races or there's going to be one next week. We didn't know. But at the end of the day, it was some good races actually in the end, which was very pleasing to see.
Yeah, well, if you think back to last March, it was the day of Friday practice before it all went to hell.
Weird, isn't it? Feels like a much further ago than it actually was, I think.
Yeah, because also it was McLaren pulled out, and then there was a chaos that day. Some people wanted to stay in, some people didn't, and then Mikel Arteta got COVID, and that killed everything else.
Chase Carey was on a plane, so they couldn't decide. I think that was another reason, like it was like the day after or something, because he didn't hear any news because he was on a flight. And the support categories had actually already qualified, which was interesting as well. Like Australian supercars had actually got a grid, and then they couldn't have a race. But good decision in the light of things, because a big, massive call to take. And they had that weird press conference with all the people who were in charge in a pen. And they were like, oh, well, we're not going to do it, and we don't really know why, you know. So amazing that some racing happened this year, which is great. Now we seem to might be in a similar scenario again in 2021 at the start, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the logistics of getting about 1,500 people to each race.
I know.
And only having a handful of COVID cases. Over the piece is ridiculously
amazing. So whatever they were doing it right, and it was like a model scenario to look at, other sports to look at, I think.
Yeah, it's a shame that Scottish football can't take the same the same stance, but I mean, everyone in those bubbles, it's not easy to keep to a bubble and do all the restrictions properly. So everybody's played their part and got it done.
Yeah,
and now we're seeing drivers getting COVID now that the season's over.
Yeah, well, they've all gone on holiday afterwards, haven't they?
Yeah, the bubble system's disappeared, and now I think Lando Norris has got it. I think Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I've read somewhere Ricardo maybe I've had it, but he was. I've not actually seen that confirmed. It was just kind of rumoured. So you see now the bubbles are all back free again.
Yeah. So clearly it worked, whatever they did, and it must have been very difficult for all the teams, you know, the mechanics, the engineers, everybody involved. I think it was smaller crews. I don't know if they had like less parts with them. They probably couldn't do enough with the compacted calendar, like enough sort of development or analysis post race as well for the teams. So incredible. I mean, I don't want to jump too ahead, but when a certain Haas car was destroyed, then they still had a car out the next week at the same track.
Yeah,
amazing, really, absolutely incredible. I've said incredible 67 times. I'm going to say it again. It was incredible.
It's an amazing effort, considering it's 17 races and 14 different countries. They had 3 or 4 weekends where it was, 3 or 4 weekends in a row. That happened 2 or 3 times. It was a brilliant effort to get it on.
I think everybody was very tired. They must have gone for a long sleep. Probably still sleeping now.
Yeah, well, to jumping forward to this year, I think McLaren were voted against the changes that were coming in at the start of this season for the same reason. That we're going to end up with another chopped block calendar, which is great for me and you. I love watching it every weekend, but I can imagine for those guys having to pack up, fly, build everything again, pack it up, fly. That
it takes its toll. Yeah, and that's where maybe mistakes come in, and also people not performing as best as they could do. But COVID-19, terrible, awful thing that we're living through. Incredible scenes, really. Oh, I said incredible again, in a bad way. But it it did at least provide some interest in the season, perhaps that maybe wouldn't have been there otherwise. And that's such a shallow, selfish thing to say, but that's one element that made it a really great year for Formula One, when really it could have just been a snooze fest.
Yeah, I mean, if this was on ice, I mean, what would we have had to talk about the past year?
Yeah. I don't think we'd be doing this podcast, I don't think.
No, definitely not. So I think the best way to probably do this is just go through team by team and have a look at their overall performance and the drivers and how they did, and maybe how they did compared to what we thought they would do at the end of 2019.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So starting off, obviously the big boys, Mercedes, dominant, came with a car that seemed to be about a second quicker than last year's.
With probably the wick turned down.
Yeah, had a funny steering system at the start of
yeah.
testing. Everyone was panicking about. And we had Valtteri Bottas version 3, I think it was now.
Yeah, I put version 3 question mark in my notes. Was it 3.0 or was it 4? I don't know. I've lost count at this point.
I don't know, but he seems
Same result.
Yeah, he seems to have a disastrous end to a season. Come back, have a couple of good results, and everyone thinks, right, he's got it.
Here we go. This is it.
This is the year, and it never is. For him.
He needs to go away and have a long, hard think. I think the difference in performance is a mental thing, because I think he does have a good amount of speed, maybe not up to Lewis. He's clearly very skilled, but the domination must beat you up mentally.
Well, if you look at the qualifying results, he's within a 10th and beating Lewis.
Yeah.
And on a good number of occasions this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it just can't convert it in the race.
No.
Doesn't seem to have the killer edge. Can't maintain his pace. Can't control his tyres.
Yeah.
There's like nothing that Lewis can do. He can't match it anywhere.
Yeah.
He can match 1 lap speed.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't match anything else.
Yeah. To match the 1 lap speed of Hamilton in a Mercedes is a really good thing, but ultimately, I was going to say points are only on Sunday, but is there no, there's not. There is points only on Sunday, right? I was thinking of the little trophy they get for pole position.
No, don't
they get a little
get
tire, don't they? Yeah, it's points for fastest lap. I'm conflating there, but
yeah,
he started the year with a win, and I thought, again, here we go, first win of the season for Bottas. It might be championship battle. But then it just turned out that Lewis had sort of slept in from the break.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What did you think that first week in Austria? I had a flashback to 2016. You know, like the end of 2015, Hamilton won the title quite early and then just went on holiday and partied.
Yeah.
Rosberg won, I think, like 4 races at the end of the season in a row.
Yeah.
Came back and then won 6 or 7 in a row the next year.
Yeah.
And it was like Hamilton had just taken the time off and couldn't get back. And when I saw the first weekend, Hamilton was all over the place. He had the contact with Albon, he just wasn't right. And went,
oh yeah, of course, yeah. You forget the Albon contact. That's when Albon had a little bit of speed as well, which was
exactly.
Both Albon and Bottas had false dawns in that first race. Really, it was for me. It built up a level of excitement of Mercedes are miles ahead, but maybe Bottas will bring it to him. But he didn't. He didn't. Demoralised, I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, he won in Austria, he won in Russia. But when you look at his bad races, they were really quite bad. I'm thinking Italy, where he dropped back at the start and then just never moved again. I'm thinking,
potentially some damage on the suspension or something afterwards, but you're never sure with that, are you?
Yeah, but I mean, it's still Lewis had similar issues that race, and still managed to fight through.
Yeah.
And it feels like all year. I mean, Turkey was horrendous for him.
That was so bad. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Again, allegedly, that in the first lap contact or second. Oh no, the second incident on the first lap with Ocon potentially put his steering out, which means he couldn't put enough lock on to catch the car. But I lost count of the number of times he spun in that event, and that was very embarrassing.
No, so when it goes wrong for him, he never seems to recover. He never bounces back. He never builds momentum. It's like one weekend's great, and then the rest is
yeah. And I would say that he won. You mentioned there 2 races, so he won in Austria round 1. That was a genuine, really amazing victory. Okay, his second victory is genuine. He won it, but Hamilton was ahead and got the penalty for those false practice starts before the race. And then
he did, didn't he?
yeah, and then Bottas won, and then did all the whole team radio of
Yeah.
for those who are concerned. But it was like, this is not the time you say that actually, Valtteri.
No, this is the one where you knock Lewis out in the gravel and he can't do anything. You don't do it the weekend when Hamilton's just been an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Forgot about those. Did forget about those penalties.
yeah, so it just wasn't so great. But, anyway, we've talked so much about the failures of Bottas this year, but I can't take anything away from Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Sir Lewis Hamilton, because
I'm not a fan of knighthoods during careers. It's
got to be post career. Interesting.
Because I'm going to have fucking David Croft every lap of a race going, oh, there's Sir Lewis going, it's just going to be endless. And Ted Kravitz is never going to let it go either. Those two idiots are going to be. I can't.
You need to write to the Queen.
It's like, what are you thinking? Give him a minute in 2 years, 3 years, not now.
That's an amazing point. Well said. That's hilarious. Oh God, that's going to be intolerable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, he deserves it, but
absolutely,
yeah, it's got to be post-career because otherwise, commentary confusion.
Oh my God, it's just. I mean, 7th world title. You can't argue that it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think the Queen was thinking of the F1 commentary team. They made that decision.
But when did he win the title? Was it Turkey?
It was Turkey, which I thought was probably his best race of the year, driving on that track.
Yeah, there was the tyre management that was from another planet, on another level. You know, we all thought, oh, Sergio Perez, he's the tyre looking after master. He knows how to look after the rubber. And Lewis just smoked it. I just don't understand how he managed to do that for so long and deliver the pace at the end. So, what a fitting way to win the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, a masterclass.
He done that all year, just manage his tyres. He never seems to use them. The only problem he had was the 2 races in Britain.
Yeah.
The one where the first race, I think, got the puncture, and one with the puncture.
Yeah, one with a puncture.
Race 2, I think it was the heat. Just overheated the tyres constantly, but that seemed to be a car issue rather than anything to do with driving. Yeah.
When he won with a puncher, that was on the limit. I think other people got punches towards the end, like Sainz, for example. But he had such a dominant lead anyway that he was able to just cruise round. And I remember after the race, the team radio was like, right, just park the car. He's like, no, I'll just finish with the 3 wheels. It's fine. You pay the bills.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out all right. So that was incredible. And so now he's got the record 7th title with Schumacher. He's got the 95 race wins, which is an all-time record. And in a normal season, incredible achievements, but it would be quite dull. But as we'll come on to later, there was all sorts going on, so it was fine. So you're allowed to do that, Lewis. It's no problem.
Yeah. He's the only driver, though, that's not signed up for next year.
Isn't that weird?
And I don't know about you, but this just seems like a weird situation.
Bizarre.
So during the season, it was, we'll talk about it once we've won the title. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Then it was, we'll talk about it at the end of the season. Nothing happened. We'll sign it by Christmas. Nothing happened. We'll sign it by testing, and so far nothing's happened. And now Total Wolf is in the press saying we're preparing for alternatives if this doesn't happen. To me personally, I think it will sign because he's almost guaranteed an 8th title next year.
Who wouldn't want that? Who would not want that?
Exactly.
Surely, if you really want it, you'd do it for 50p.
Yeah, well, let's see. If the reports are he's wanting 50 million, and they're offering him 20 something million. But come on,
50 mil. Goodness me.
I know, but for an 8th world title, would you not just say, okay, let's just I'll take the 30 million hit, but let's just get this 1 year done and win the title.
There's all sorts going on behind the scenes, isn't there? Didn't Ineos, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, buy a third of the team recently? That's probably why Toto Wolff himself wasn't signed up as well until quite late in the day. So I'm wondering if it's to do with that. Focusing, it's such a large sum is Hamilton's wage. Maybe focusing on this sale of part of the equity of the company had to be done first to then free up, or they've got extra investment to pay Lewis. You know, it's probably. I'm hoping it's just something to do with that, and it's just announced next week. You know.
Yeah. Some of the rumours as well were about contract length. There was a disagreement over that. Dame were only wanting to give him a shorter contract. He was looking
Right.
for something a bit longer, allegedly.
Mm.
Which I found a bit strange, because if I was Lewis Hamilton, I wouldn't want to be signing a 4-year contract going into a rule change.
The all important rule change. It is a difficult quandary. It would be nice for him to have like a 2021 and option.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he has at least 2 years, like 2021, 2022, but then there's a way out if the Merc is bad.
That's
because
what I
any
thought he
other
was looking for. Yeah.
Any other team would take him.
Yeah.
So, you know, why not? Even if he has a bad year or whatever, or 2 years, you still would, wouldn't you? So,
yeah,
I'm wondering. Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably something to do with that as well.
Do you think he'll sign it? Still be on the grid next year?
Yeah, he's still going to be on the grid next year. He's got an Extreme E team though, if he's bored.
He does.
He's got drivers signed up already. So, I can't remember who's driving for him. Is it Johan Kristoffersen? In which case, that's amazing. So they might win that title as well, because I think he's really good. But we'll circle back to that once I've Googled it. Google past podcasts, yeah. But just quickly on Mercedes, I guess they won the Constructors' Championship. I guess that goes without saying.
Mm-hmm.
And Bottas did get second at the end of the year in terms of the points. So all right. But of course, there was a star turn by another driver in a Mercedes.
There was George Russell.
Probably jumping ahead.
No,
he was in a Mercedes, so it counts.
No, let's talk about him now. I think that Bottas needs to win the title next year to keep his seat. Otherwise, George Russell's got that drive.
That is a
sewn
good
up
point.
already.
That is a good point.
If he doesn't win the title, how can Mercedes justify keeping him when they've got George Russell there, who's clearly as quick, if not quicker, and could probably be as good as Lewis Hamilton?
It's got potential. I think that's what Bottas, we've seen it now. That's it. Yeah. It's not going to get any better, I don't think.
No,
whereas
don't see it.
George can only get better, I think. And so at the Sakhir Grand Prix, you know, Hamilton, he misses a race because of COVID. That's worth mentioning. George gets in, and he's quick from FP1. And I tweeted at the time, which is a cardinal sin. You should never tweet in excitement after free practice times, because it's free practice times.
Yeah.
But then free practice 2 is quick. Free practice 3 is quick. He qualifies in P2. So Bottas, again, going back to what you said earlier, Bottas has clearly got the qualifying pace. You know, he's right up there. But then turn 1, George takes the lead, and it's incredible, really. He pulled away and drove a commanding race until the well-publicised errors.
Yep. The one Mercedes cock-up they make a year, and it happened to happen to George.
Yeah.
I think he's got that seat nailed. Whether it's Hamilton's seat or Bottas' seat, I think for 2022 he's got it.
Unless someone else comes in with a last-minute offer that's incredible. But I think he'd be so loyal to Mercedes at this point that...
Yeah. Is he not managed by Toto Wolff as well?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. Ferrari could... No, they're not going to.
No.
AlphaTauri, they might have the 2022 car.
True. My worry about George was that we've seen young Mercedes-backed drivers, Pascal Wehrlein,
yeah, good shout.
Ocon being talked up as definitely getting the drive.
Di
Resta, and then never getting the chance. He's had the chance and proven it. So I think he's in a much stronger position than either of those were.
Yeah, it makes you think about those previous drivers if they had got that one race to prove. What I actually used to rate Pascal Wehrlein quite a bit. I think he was very, very good in DTM, which was Mercedes, and it's a shame that he's in Formula E, which is still great, but his Formula 1 career's over now. But yeah, like you say, it's bad that Lewis got COVID. It's great that George showed what he can do. It's terrible that they messed up the tyres. What's going on with that? And then it was unlucky that he got a puncture at the end. But it didn't matter so much in some respects. But you kind of feel for him a bit, because what if he gets to drive in 2022 and the Mercedes isn't good? You know, what if he never gets on the podium? That'll be such a shame. I don't think it'll happen like that, though.
No. But obviously, 2022 is a bit unknown for everyone, but I don't think they'll make the same mistake that
No.
McLaren and the likes made with the big rule change, 12 years ago now.
Yeah, 2009, long time ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember it like yesterday, Colin.
Yep, all the big boys made a mess of it.
They did.
But I don't see that happening with Mercedes.
Nah. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So, well, do you want to move on to Red Bull?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's probably a few other things we can mention about Mercedes. Oh, just one small thing about Mercedes before Red Bull. Hamilton entered the pits in Monza with a red light, and that made an interesting race as well. But I suppose we'll cover the result of that in the later teams. But that was another small error from Mercedes or Lewis this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of too many.
No, it was amazing.
There was race one with the clash with
Albon.
I've forgotten him already.
Yeah. Well.
The 70th anniversary, that was just a problem with the car and the tyres.
Mm-hmm.
Italy, his fault and the team's fault.
Yep.
Russia, his fault and the team's fault.
Yep.
And
then the team just messed up in Bahrain. And Abu Dhabi wasn't really there, was he?
No, Abu Dhabi was... I think he was still suffering from COVID and just...
The hangover.
Yeah, didn't look like he had the pace.
Well, was it controversially an error to actually do the race? Because, we all wanted George to have another go, didn't we?
Yeah, I was so hoping he didn't come back.
Yeah, he didn't.
He had nothing to race for. He shouldn't have bothered coming back.
Yeah. Oh, well. On to the energy drink.
Yes. So, Red Bull, they got 2 wins this year. They got, I think, 5 podiums out with that. 2 for... Was it 2 for Albon?
Yeah, 2. Mugello and somewhere else. It's coming to me. It was...
Bahrain.
That
was it.
Yep.
So, second in the championship without any competition from Ferrari this year. What do you think?
I think, on the one hand, it was kind of a good year, but was it also not a failure of Red Bull and Honda not to challenge Mercedes? Yes, I think it was. But they were in... For me, it was like Mercedes was Class A, and... we're not talking about drugs here. And Red Bull was Class B. Then there was a gaggle of everybody in the middle that was Class C. And then you had the 3 teams at the back in Class D. And so Red Bull was just sort of on their own in the middle. And actually, I'll just revise that slightly and say that Max Verstappen was in his own class. Because Albon, unfortunately, was with everyone else, wasn't he?
Yeah. The chief mechanic this week says that they've found faults in the car and ways to work around it. That
okay.
They think they could have beaten Mercedes if they'd found them earlier. But that's just
but I would have beaten Mercedes if I had found some problems last season and I wasn't even racing. I don't think that's a valid point, really.
No, exactly. Max Verstappen for a lot of people was the driver of the year.
Really?
I keep reading that people think he performed amazingly.
Was it in a global poll? Because he's got lots of Dutch fans that will outnumber.
Does.
It's like Robert Kubica all over again with his Polish following. It's such a loud voice.
I think there is a bit of that going on. But to me, I didn't think he outperformed the car. I think he got what the car was capable of every week. I don't think he was outstanding in any way. He beat his teammate almost every weekend and he put pressure on the Mercs, but I wouldn't say he was out driving what the car was capable of. I just think that they were half a second slower.
He's in a car and a team that's modelled completely around him.
Yeah.
So the story goes. So why wouldn't he be ahead of his teammate and why wouldn't he be challenging? I think he did really well in the 2 races that he won. Mm-hmm. One of the Silverstones and Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Yep. Brilliant. There was some great strategy going on at Silverstone, and then in Abu Dhabi he just was quicker all weekend. But there were times when him and the car weren't quite working well. At the start of Mugello, he lost all the power. That put him back in the pack, and then there was an incident. In Abu Dhabi, I'm sure Leclerc caused the accident to kick off, but then he just drove into a wall. He just did.
Sakir.
Oh, sorry, Sakir. Yeah, wrong.
from
Middle Eastern track there.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
yeah. Well, that was a strange one. He just
was
drove
weird.
into the wall.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know it was there, or I didn't know the gravel was there, and just drove straight into it.
That's why you should always pay attention on the track walk, even if you've been to the track before, I guess. I'm speculating there. And listen, I'm an idiot. I got the track wrong. But for me with Max, I think he's incredibly talented, and if he was in a car that was a bit quicker, he would definitely challenge Lewis for the best driver on the grid. His petulance I'm blinded by his petulance sometimes.
Which is getting worse. Especially
Getting
with
worse.
his media comments,
Yeah.
even about his own teammates, and I don't like that about him.
No. But even if you don't like him, you still got to admire he can drive. But it's not.
Oh
cool.
yeah, I don't think that you should be criticising teammates. I don't think you should be making some of the comments he's making in public. But yeah, there is something you could give him a bit of leeway for, I think, which is he's not got a teammate to help him.
Yep.
If he had a teammate behind him playing different strategies, then maybe Red Bull could have challenged Mercedes. Maybe Verstappen could have had a chance at more wins at least, if not a title fight. But Albon was nowhere.
Yeah. It was about half a second off everywhere in every session, almost all the time. I'm exaggerating a bit, but it seemed to be around half a second in qualifying.
Well, I don't think he ever got within 3 tenths in qualifying.
Right. Not good enough. But biased team, but it's still not good enough.
No. Stronger race drives. Sometimes good recoveries.
Yep.
The podiums he did get. I mean, what was it? The Eiffel? Not the Eiffel Grand Prix.
No, Mugello, the Tuscan.
Mugello.
That was a chaos race. He did well to keep going, but it was let's be honest, his teammate wasn't in the race anymore, and all sorts was going on. There was that pile up and stuff. But the Bahrain podium was very good, and that weekend it was like, oh, has he turned a corner? He was on it, but then
Sergio Perez's batteries blew up and gave him that podium as well.
Oh yes, of course, the car was on fire as well. Yeah,
but he was running in fourth. He was
up there, which is better.
He was reasonable, but I mean, you can give a lot of the drivers credit this year for capitalising those situations, and they've not got cars that should be on the podium, so they get credit for that.
Yeah,
he's got a car that should be on the podium, so when he's getting his podiums through red flags and safety cars, it does detract from what they mean.
And not even just podiums, it should be in P4 every race.
Yeah.
And then he'd capitalise with maybe even a fluky win in this weird topsy-turvy season.
Yeah.
But I do feel sorry for him because I do think he's good. I just think also starting out within that first half of the year, if you're not within half a second of Max, the headlines, the speculation, the pressure, I don't know how they manage it internally. It doesn't sound very good. That all gets to your head. But he's got the reserve drive for next year, and he's going to be doing DTM in the new GT3 class cars. I don't know if that will help him or not, but it's at least not being jettisoned completely.
A Ferrari he's driving, I think. It was rumoured he's going to be driving a Ferrari.
Is he? Interesting. I don't know what vehicle is in yet, but
I don't think it's been confirmed, but it's rumoured that he's going to a Ferrari for that year, at least a year.
Right.
Yeah, it's just I do feel a bit sorry for him. I think he got promoted too early.
Me too.
But then he'd never got on top of the car.
Yeah.
And he didn't do his job in the end.
Yeah. It's sad. But Max did some great stuff. But another example of his impatience was Turkey when he span. Come on, no one overtakes around that corner.
No.
Or even just have a look through it was just, I don't know if he was trying to overtake, he was just having like a look to distract or something, but he just got it wrong. That could have been a race win, maybe. I don't know. But his radio messages about tyres and stuff in that race annoyed me as well.
Yeah, I mean, there were 6 people could have won that race.
True.
It looked at one point like Alex Albon was going to win the race, and then
it did, and he had a little spin.
He spun as well.
2 spins for Red Bull that race, so I'm sure they weren't happy.
No. The problem with Albon all year is he never built any momentum, even when he did have a good result. Because I'm just looking at his results now. Like 4th at the Styrian Grand Prix, then 5th, 8th, 5th, 8th. He got his podium in Tuscan Grand Prix, then finished 10th in Russia.
Yeah, so straight the next race, you down a bit.
When he got the podium in Bahrain, I did think that he's got the drive. If he gets 2 4ths in the next 2 weeks, he got the drive. Then he had a nightmare qualifying, and then he finished 6th in Sakhir. and then did finish fourth in Abu Dhabi, but in reality wasn't on the qualifying pace. He was chasing down the Mercedes,
Yeah.
who were just cruising at that point.
Yeah, it felt like another unfortunate scenario at the end where he felt like, Albon's catching him up, and I think in the press afterwards he was quoted like, another lap, I could have had him, or something like this. But you also felt that they were just bringing it home.
Yeah.
So it was good that he thought he was doing something good, but I think we all kind of know that the Mercs were just there just to finish the season off and call it quits.
Yeah, I did think with that podium and the fact that he's Thai, it's a half Thai company,
Yep.
etc., would have kept him in the seat. But I think it's got to be the right decision for Red Bull if they want to have a title challenge next year.
Yeah. What do you think about the big news this year that Honda is going to leave the championship?
Unsurprising, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get the feeling they were going to be in it much longer. Just when even at the start of the season,
yeah.
I think Red Bull taking on engine development themselves, I think is probably the best option they've got, because bringing in a new manufacturer is going to be difficult, but it's going to take them years to build up the capability to build and develop engines in-house. They have no expertise at all, so they need to. They've not even made a decision yet, which I thought
a bit late, isn't it?
Yeah, if they were going to take on themselves and start building that department, surely they would want to have that sorted at the end of last season, so that they can gain all the knowledge from Honda.
We don't really know though how late in the day they knew, or how early they knew about the Honda leaving. Seems that Christian Horner didn't know or something. So who knows what he does as a job?
I've got a feeling not a lot. I think he just signs expenses forms all day. Saying,
yeah.
I don't really think he does much else. But I just think I think it's so strange to be going into this season without a concrete plan.
Yeah.
I know they say they want to take on the engine themselves and want an engine freeze for a year or two to help them, but for me they should be building up their capabilities now and getting all the knowledge and info from Honda, and passing it on to their new team now, so that they can compete next year.
I'm wondering if they could take on the development, but then hire like a agency or someone else to actually do it for them, to do the development. So take over the IP, hire a few people to integrate, but then hire, I don't know, like an engine Ilmor, which I don't think exists anymore, or Cosworth, or these companies don't really exist anymore in the same way, though, do they? But there could be someone out there that could help them, I guess.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for anyone to get up to speed with the hybrid engines. I mean, you saw it took Honda 4 years to get anywhere.
It's too complicated.
Yeah, so to develop that knowledge in house, or to get someone else in, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, well, good luck to them, but
I can't see them taking the Renault engine again. I don't know about you.
No, I think well, that might be the only option.
Yeah,
but probably the sensible option. But I think they maybe burnt some bridges there. Although as we come to, there's some management changes in that team, so you never know.
Yeah.
But last thing on Red Bull, I think for me is Max, Super Max. If you don't know the Max Verstappen song, go on YouTube and watch it. It's got a really funny music video with some Dutch fans going crazy.
I don't like the Dutch fans.
Just defend the nation. Why not? Go for it.
I'm kidding. You've got a lovely country. No, I do think that it does. It's good to see fans that are active in the crowd. I wish that it wouldn't just be one half of the track is all orange.
Yeah.
I wish they would distribute the tickets to like Spa and things like that to a variety of countries. Rather than all of them just seem to go to Holland.
So we're saying that Verstappen's caused an issue, so we're going to have to segregate the fans into nations.
Absolutely.
And limit them. Well, anyway, that's if we get fans back at racetracks, but fingers crossed we do.
Yep.
There's hubris around the Verstappen clan, let's put it that way.
I mean, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'll leave it there. Third place championship this year were McLaren.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to go McLaren or Racing Point.
Why?
Well, because McLaren finished third, but Racing Point finished third.
Racing Point should have finished third if they hadn't cheated.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Well, McLaren it is then.
McLaren, think good step forward for them. I think that they were slightly compromised this year because I believe that a lot of their upgrades were geared towards preparing for next season with the Mercedes engine. And I think they, at times during the season, outperformed their car.
Yeah.
Because there was times where they weren't third quickest or fourth quickest, but still managed to get results.
They would out-race and out-strategize, and they would grind out a result.
And it's quite impressive getting third, considering that.
Oh, yeah, mega.
Sainz had a pretty difficult period during the season.
Yep.
Where everything was going wrong. I mean, the biggest one was the crash at Mugello, the pilot.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But even before that, he had a few bad weekends in a row.
Yeah, there was a puncture towards the race at Silverstone, one of the Silverstone rounds. I forget which one now. I remember in Austria he had like a balked pit stop. I think a couple of times in the year actually he had slow stops, which then put him way back in the pack. So that really wrecked his race when he was up there.
Didn't start in Spa.
Didn't start at Spa, yeah. That's bad. So to finish that high in the championship, was he P6 overall? He actually outscored Norris at the end of the season quite comfortably. I know Norris broke down at Nürburgring, but I think Sainz had the fair share bad luck there.
Yeah, P6.
He's really this season further cemented my opinion that he's really good.
Yeah. I did get a bit excited at the start of the year. First race of the season, Norris gets podium.
Yeah. Great result for Norris, but didn't go anywhere else after that, really.
No, last lap, getting the fastest lap.
Yeah.
What an absolutely exciting start to the season, and did start to think maybe McLaren can be up there, but they were on the edges of the podium the rest of the year. Sainz obviously coming second at the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Very close to winning that.
Very close.
But the rest of the year, they were always hanging about 4th, 5th, 6th, especially Sainz.
Yeah.
The
last 4 races he finished 5th, 4th, 6th.
Yeah.
Sums up the season quite well. And unlike Albon, he's consistent and always in the mix. Albon could be brilliant, but then Sainz just shows that if you just keep plugging away, then the second place at Monza will appear. Or leading in Portugal like he did for a few laps,
Yeah.
All these crazy things come your way if you're just consistent with your performance, I think.
Yeah, I think Norris took a step forward this year as well. As you say, he was beaten in the end, but I do think he took a step forward, and he was much more consistent himself.
What do you think about the bromance between the two drivers?
I enjoyed it, but it got a bit much because, like everything in F1, once Sky and the TV companies and the social media teams pick up on something, they drive it home and they kill it, basically. They kill the fun.
Yeah. I think it was cool that they got on, and I really enjoyed the sort of end-of-season radio messages that they both did. Yeah. And what I really recommend, if you've not seen it, or anyone listening's not seen it, the McLaren end-of-season video where the puppets is...
The puppet show, yeah.
It's quite enjoyable. There's Zach Brown not taking himself seriously, and good one. But I would say hat tip to Zach Brown for pulling the team up from the depth, the deepest, darkest depths. Ugh, that was difficult to say. Post Ron Dennis. And also Mr. Seidel, Andreas Seidel is he called?
Yeah.
Who's come from the Porsche LMP1 project, and he has really helped to drive them forward, I think. In
a lot of ways, it's kind of quietly done. Like they're not shouting constantly. You don't see Andreas Seidel constantly shoving his face in front of a camera, constantly on the radio to the TV crews. I like the way that they're just going about and plugging away, and with Mercedes engine next year, hopefully that's another little boost for them. Although Renault's engine at times this year was good, and it was in some races was a real quick package, but going to Mercedes is obviously going to be a benefit going forward.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I think it's weird timing because you're going to have to change quite a bit of the car when then the rules are going to change the year afterwards. But as you say, if the updates are focused on that already, then hopefully that's actually true and not just PR hyperbole, and then it works. But I'm not getting too excited, but I agree. I hope the Merc power moves on. The team gels well, and Ricciardo will fit into that bromancy, jokey, laddish humour, and hopefully not too much. Maybe too much to start with, but they'll work it out.
I don't think we'll actually see that next year, to be honest.
Oh.
I genuinely don't think we'll see the. It won't be the same level as what we've seen this year and the year before.
Right.
But I think Ricardo's now 33, 34, and he's
Right. It's just uncool for him to be trying to be down with the kids. He didn't stream on Twitch like Lando, for example.
Exactly. He's not a Twitcher, so
He's not a Twitcher. He won't get the memes.
I just think he's going into a new team, and he's looking at probably the last team he's going to get to for a potential world title. And he's going to go in there and he's going to try and take it over and gear it towards him, because otherwise he's not going to get a.
True.
He's not going to get a chance of fighting for a title again.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go in and try and take that team and gear it towards him.
That's a very interesting point. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how McLaren manage the two. Obviously, Lando being their
Chose
guy.
his son.
Yeah, but I think that it's his last chance for him. He's got to go in and take it over.
Yeah, we didn't get signed by Ferrari this time, so again.
Yeah.
So we'll come on to another one later, I think, but one driver who's especially keen to be in a team that can deliver in 2022 and hopefully get a couple of podiums on the way and maybe the odd lucky race win next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But the main thing is McLaren had their mojo back. It was really enjoyable, and they came across as a really likeable, approachable team. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And I definitely agree with you that the drivers outperformed the vehicle, and the team strategists outperformed the vehicle at times.
They've benefited from not having Alonso in the car.
Oh my word, it's been like a relief, hasn't it?
It's such a better atmosphere. It's such a better public image.
Yeah.
I don't think Alonso would have done better than Carlos Sainz this year anyway.
I agree.
So I think it's been the past 2 years for McLaren have just been all positive.
Yeah. Fully agree. It's just, we'll come to it later, but Mr. Alonso's back. All right. Anyway, that was McLaren, I think.
Yep. Racing Point, P4. They would have been P3, but they obviously got that points deduction, which I think was 15 points per driver.
I think it was just 15 in total. Oh, I could be wrong. You might be right.
I think.
Oh, really? Anyway, it was 400,000 euros, which is nothing to Lawrence. So.
Yeah.
It's by the by.
15 points for the constructor. Yeah. I think it was. I can't remember what it was for the drivers. If anything, but yeah, you're right.
Oh, right.
Points, which cost them P3.
Yep. Can you remember why? What did they do that was illegal?
Did they not buy the Mercedes? They copied the design of the Mercedes brake ducts from the 2019 car.
Yeah.
Which became a listed part, which you had to design yourselves.
Well remembered, yeah.
But they
copied the whole car. And it was other teams saying, "Oh well, this is the bit we can get them on."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
as if you're the other team, you probably would do that.
Exactly. To be honest, I don't really blame Racing Point for
that too as well.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been sitting around 5th, 6th, 7th for 2 or 3 years now. Why not try and jump yourself a few positions forward?
So with that in mind, even though they had a really good season, their best season they've had in a long time, they got the race win, they got a pole position. I know we'll come to those in more detail in a bit. But overall, considering they've got a copy of last year's Merc, could they have done even better? Especially at the start of the year. Yeah.
I was so disappointed with them at the start of the year because there was all this hype coming out of testing, all the hype going into Austria, that these were probably the second best car on the grid, or the third best car on the grid, and that Red Bull were really scared of them, and all of this, and it never materialised at the start of the year. They were mid-points.
Yeah.
They were never really close to Red Bull.
And it's weird how they got better throughout the season.
Yeah.
When I'm not sure how much development was going on and upgrades and all this, but it was just weird how they didn't get going at the start of the year.
No. They'll be happy with, 3 podiums, and a win.
Mm-hmm.
But that podium count, I think, could have been should have been much higher. Obviously, they had COVID problems.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Actually, if you look at the results, probably didn't cost them too much. It probably cost them at some points, replacing Perez with Hulkenberg. But it probably didn't actually cost them a massive amount since Hulkenberg was so quick.
Yeah, and like the first, so Perez got COVID, and so Hulkenberg subs in the first of the Silverstone races, right? Qualifies third, incredible, but then couldn't start the race. Is that correct? Have I got that right way around?
Yeah.
Then the second one, he didn't qualify as well, but then he could start the race, but he finished a bit low down. I think he tried some softer tyres towards the end of the race. Didn't quite work out. But just generally, this gives us an opportunity to talk about the super sub that was Nico Hulkenberg. I thought he did amazing. So then later in the season, Stroll gets COVID, and Hulkenberg does the Eiffel Grand Prix without any practice. He just jumps in at qualifying, and that was incredible, I thought.
Yeah. Finished P8 in that race. But
From last though.
Yeah. All the talk going into that was, well, after the first sub, all the talk was he's a shoo-in for a seat.
Forget that, don't you?
Yeah, and all that just died away.
Well,
out of sight, out of mind after he had done the race.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. Perez finished the year extremely strongly, and Albon was a bit mixed. So Perez has got the Red Bull drive for 2021. But up until that point, I was all about Hulkenberg. Get Hulkenberg in the Red Bull. Come on, he deserves it. Yeah. I'd still love to see that. I still would love to see that. I think it would be great, but it's not going to happen. But he was really wonderful. Do you have any opinions about someone who perhaps wasn't so wonderful in the seat, Mr. Stroll Jr.?
Lance Stroll, okay.
Yeah.
I actually do think he's a good driver. I don't think he's a great driver.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good driver. He got his podium in Mugello. Am I right?
Oh no, he had a puncture in Mugello and had an accident. But he finished in Monza on the podium.
Monza was the podium.
And another one in Sakhir.
Monza was a podium, but it should have been a race win.
Exactly.
He was second behind Hamilton when Hamilton took his penalty, but had a terrible restart and then locked up going into turn 4, the chicane.
The chicane,
The second chicane, which cost him the win. Should have been his win.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say the same about Sakhir. He was ahead of Perez and he made a mistake and let Perez through. And he also had that run of some bad luck, some mistakes where after his podium he had the big crash in Mugello, which wasn't his fault.
Yep.
He had a few more retirements.
Mm-hmm.
He got put in his roof by Danny Kvyat in Bahrain.
Goodness, yes. I've forgotten about
that. So there was a combination of bad luck, but it was also, I think, a lot of just poor driving.
Yeah, and for me, that is encapsulated in the Portimao race in Portugal, where I think twice he turned in at someone at turn 1, once in the race, and once was it in qualifying or practice. Both. Yeah. So he didn't learn from the first mistake.
No.
And he had a contact with Norris in the actual race. I agree with you. I think he's a good driver. He won titles in, I think, F3 before F1. I just feel that now he's made F1 and he's in his dad's team, he's lost 5% of an edge because he doesn't need to be motivated like other drivers who are desperately trying to get a drive. Maybe they might be overdriving all, but there is this whole thing of, well, my parent doesn't own the team, so I might even have a 2-year contract. But after that, what's going to happen? So I'm going to try and perform, and that extra little edge, he's just too comfortable. I feel that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but
yeah, you never see any. I never see any like fighting him when he's doing interviews or anything like that.
No.
You don't really see any real aggression. And I was reading a few weeks ago that I think I can't remember the team principal's name for Racing Point now. It's gone.
Oh,
but he was
Opfenauer, something or other.
Otmar
Safnauer. There we go.
Yeah. I think
we're professionals, man.
Absolutely. we know what we're talking about. But I believe he was talking about Vettel coaching Stroll and bringing him on.
I did see that.
I don't think Sebastian Vettel is going into Aston Martin to coach the owner's son.
No.
I'm sure he'll pick things up. and
Unless there's something in his contract.
No, and I'm sure Sebastian will give him advice, but at some point Stroll's got to perform on his own and get on top of the car himself.
There's just less incentive to perform, I think, when there's no consequence to him having a bad race.
No,
he's not going to get sacked.
He's been in F1 a while now, but he had 3 years at Williams.
Yeah, and a couple here.
Yeah, he's
something like 5 seasons at least.
He needs to get consistency because Perez scalped him at the end of the season. Just totally
wiped the floor.
overshadowed him. Yeah.
What word did you say there? Scalped.
Scalped.
Is that a Scottish thing?
Slap. Put in your place.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start using that.
Alright, but listen, he's still relatively young.
Yeah, but he's not inexperienced. That's the point.
He's not inexperienced. He does have good pace at times. He just needs to.
Yep.
He's up against the world champion now, so he's got to.
Yeah,
If he beats Vettel, his reputation will shoot up.
Yep.
And he'll claim that drive himself rather than his dad just paying for it.
And the record books will forever say that he has a pole position now.
He does?
And he did that. That was one of his good moments, clearly, but he did beat his teammate to do that. It was difficult conditions. But then in the race, Perez looked after the tyres and Stroll struggled.
Yeah.
So, for me again, if he was driving for another team and he'd secured his own sponsorship or he'd got the drive on well, he's got his place in Formula 1 on merit. I don't want to take that away from him because he did do very well in junior Formula, but I just think he'd have that extra edge or be able to be more consistent. He is the most inconsistent driver, arguably, in the field. Well, maybe Daniel Kvyat, but we'll come to that in a bit. It's just frustrating. Whereas Perez, rocky start to the year. I thought he threw away a podium at the first round, weirdly because his tyres had worn out, which is very un-Perez-like. But then the rest of the season dominated. But I think we should touch on that effectively he was sacked halfway through the year, right?
Yeah, and that seemed to...
And that gave him a kick up the backside.
Yeah, I don't know how you've been spending your various lockdowns.
Not doing much.
Yeah, but what I was doing is been watching a lot of the old F1 reviews of previous seasons.
Oh, nice. Have you got them on DVD or something? Or?
No, just on YouTube.
You can do that. Right.
People put them up.
Nice.
And I think it is like the DVDs and TVDs so I've recorded and put up.
Nice.
And there's a few things I found interesting. One was Lewis Hamilton when he was really struggling during the period of like 2010, 11.
Right. When Jenson Button got the up hand on him, I thought.
Yeah, and there's
easy to forget that.
Interviews he's doing with DC, he's saying that there's a really interesting one where he's talking about Jenson in the garage and say Jenson's happy, he's got his family around him, his dad's at every race happy, his girlfriend's here every race happy. And this is when Lewis had fallen out with his dad, he had fallen out with Nicole Scherzinger, and just everyone was going terrible.
Yep.
Yeah. But the other thing I found interesting watching back those was the last time Perez was in a bit of trouble with his seat against Ocon. 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah. Oh, and there was a bit of infighting and they'd knock each other's wing off. Yeah. Ocon seemed super sharp then.
Yeah, and I think it was even on the Drive to Survive documentary. I think it was in that that was covered there. And when Perez's seat was in trouble then, he lost his head. They were clashing all the time.
They were.
They were not professional at
nope.
all.
Nope.
They were fighting in public. And
it was good fun.
It was good fun. But now, this time when his seat was under trouble, he was totally calm and just went out and...
did his own thing.
And just performed amazingly, certainly after he got sacked.
And we haven't really talked about the fact that he won a race after all this time. It was a new record for longest time in F1 before a win.
Yeah, it was
and wasn't it good?
Yeah, it was well deserved. I know he benefited from the Mercs, but he drove a
got to take that chance.
He got past his teammate, he got past Ocon during that race, and he just drove away.
I'm going to put my smug face on now. Audio listeners won't be able to see it, but when he got taken out on lap 1, so first of all, he did well in qualifying actually, and he got a really good start and was up there. He's taken out, but he's managed to sort of reverse away from the gravel, unlike Verstappen. He obviously knew there was gravel there.
Yeah.
And when the first safety car happened, it was all to play for with Perez and with the tyre option, because he got rid of the softs at the start. Oh, sorry, that's it. He pitted near the start, didn't he? Got rid of the soft tyres after like one or two laps. And then later on, everyone else was struggling on the soft tyre for a long time. And all the time in the race, he's keeping on going, keeping those laps in on the better, harder rubber. And that's what won in the race. It was a great drive. It was the tenaciousness and tenacity all the way through to keep the laps going when he was on different tyres to most people. And then he made the moves as well early on in the race. Yeah,
It's a maturity as well, because he drives under pressure. He didn't crumble this time like he did last time.
Yeah.
And he controlled everything that he needed to control and still had the pace.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to think he'll go into that Red Bull and give Verstappen a fight. But we know that it's clearly a difficult car to drive. The team and the car's also designed around Max. So it's going to be real interesting to see if he can compete at the front end of the grid.
It'll be fascinating.
I hope he does.
Me too.
Because it's a 1-year contract, I think he's got.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
You can't really see anyone else hanging in the background apart from Shinoda. But again, that would be a really quick promotion for Red Bull. So
Yeah.
I think he's got a good chance of keeping that drive for himself.
He just has to get within 5/10.
Yeah. If he gets close.
Yeah.
If he's fourth and third, and then a couple of races gets in front of the Mercs, I think Red Bull will be happy with him.
And I also hope they give him more than the half the season.
Yeah.
It is all new. It is going to be completely different. It's going to be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, fingers crossed, shall we say.
And of course, that's the end of Racing Point. That's the end of the Pink. That's the end of what was Force India, and it's now.
Yeah, I keep calling them Force India to this day because Racing Point is such a lousy name, but also I'm a bit of an idiot. But the Aston Martin colours, have you seen them so far? I mean, they haven't revealed the livery, but they've got a new sponsor, haven't they? Cognizant, I think, and they've got some teaser pictures. It's going to be weird to see that car being green.
Yeah, I've noticed. I think I've seen Vettel, and
they've got some
shot.
headshots, haven't they now?
Yeah, but am I right in saying that the deal is more than just a naming deal? This is actually going to become an Aston Martin project. Or is it?
We'll see.
Is it simply a naming deal? Because
Lawrence Stroll has bought the car company in real life.
Yeah.
So you'd hope there'd be some involvement and mixing, but in essence, there are two separate companies that are just operating under the same brand name. And I don't want to. Oh no, go on. We've had a load of rambles all over the place already. Aston Martin announced they shut down the WEC World Endurance Championship program to sort of, now they've got F1. I guess all the money's going towards that, which is a bit of a shame. But that was run by ProDrive anyway, not even Aston Martin from the factory. So maybe they'll cross over. I hope so, but I don't think there's any team members in the Aston Martin car company who know how to run a Formula 1 team, and vice versa. Really, there's just the Stroll guy connecting them. Yeah,
the real rich guy at the top.
Yeah, interesting theory though. How about this? This is not fully formulated.
Give it to me.
And I can't remember the people's name. Moyer, is he called? Andreas Moyer. Anyway, Aston Martin Road Cars has got they've poached from AMG, the Mercedes Performance Division, their road car boss, and he's now heading up Aston Martin Road Cars. So, and what if Mercedes sort of sells their Formula 1 team in the coming years? Or the other rumour is something along the lines of Daimler's just bought a bigger stake in Aston Martin as well. So what if there's something going on there where actually it all sort of gets amalgamated and there is only one team, it's Aston Martin, Mercedes is formally withdrawn. Interesting times ahead. I don't have the answer to that, but it's interesting how there's an ex-AMG boss at Aston Martin and Daimler has invested more in Aston Martin as a result. Food for thought. Anyway.
So you think that
I digress. There's something there.
Either there'll be a name transfer or a resource transfer, or
I think Mercedes want out. Maybe have Team Ineos or whatever.
Yeah, I don't really.
Aston Martin exists.
Do you? What was the? Because this has been hanging for a couple of years now. Mercedes wanting out of F1. What do you think's behind that?
Yeah. Also, my understanding was that they invest a huge amount of money, so it's got to be very expensive. And the rest of the corporate company is under great stresses in terms of electrification of their models. A lot of their margin is on big thirsty SUVs or thirsty performance cars. So they're going to have to diversify rapidly from the road car business, which is the bread and butter. But then my understanding was, even though they invest the biggest budget allegedly, that the Mercedes Formula 1 team actually operates at some sort of profit. So I'm wondering, if it's just a public perception thing of, well, we want to clean up our act a bit, and doing F1 seems a bit frivolous in a time where we've had to change our board members and we've had to do cutbacks and stuff like this. You never know, do you, with a road... When a car manufacturer's involved, they could pull out at any second, I think.
Yeah.
It's never stable, ever.
No. The ownership structure of that team I've always found a bit odd as well. Total Wolff, I think was it 50% ownership he had until recently, where it's now 33% between them, Ineos, and
someone else.
And
is it Petronas?
And Daimler.
Oh, Daimler, okay.
Yeah. But I find it strange if you're trying to clean up your act, you then get into bed with a petrochemical company.
Well, that's that's another story.
The giant Ineos oil refinery is 5 minutes from my house, and the night sky. The night
some insider interesting details.
Well, the night sky is always bright orange from all the flares that are going off and all the smoke and the steam. So it seems a bit strange to then be. And I think Ineos, I know, have got involved in cycling and things like that the past few years. I do find it a bit strange them buying into an F1 team as well. It just seems...
It's slightly weird, isn't it?
It just all feels a bit odd.
Yeah. There's something in the water there, and I just don't think we've joined the dots correctly.
No.
But it's definitely moving.
Total Wolff part owns Aston Martin as well, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got some shares.
Yeah, good point. Interesting.
He probably should move on if he's...
I'm wondering if Mercedes formally withdraws, but it will eventually own Aston Martin, so therefore it's still involved. But I don't know in terms of the two different separate physical locations and teams, one in Brackley and one in Silverstone, is actually going to work out in that. That's what I can't understand. But that's maybe what will happen. Maybe Aston Martin becomes Mercedes Daimler's official involvement, which would be weird because you'd want the good squad.
Yeah.
All right. I spent too long talking about that. But there's something in the water. We'll come back to this in a year.
Something that's a bit more clearer, though, is Renault's new ownership structure, management structure, team names, etc., etc. So Renault's
bit of a surprise.
Renault's no more, and Cyril Abiteboul's out.
How do you say his surname? I can't pronounce it.
I said Abiteboul, but I'm not.
Abiteboul? Anyway, we don't have to worry about it anymore now.
No, he's gone. But were you surprised after this season that he was moved on? I thought he was his coat was on a sugar peg. Let me say the past few seasons.
That's a good expression.
But I'm not surprised myself that he's gone.
I think in previous years, I agree with you. What was the expression? His coat was on a what?
His coat's on a sugar peg.
Sugarly peg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But then this year, they got some podiums at last.
They did. But
and there was a chance of third in the constructors.
Yeah.
And they announced, the weirdest thing is they announced him for next year as the boss of the Formula 1 team and the road car Alpine division. Why? And then all of a sudden we've got this about turn. It's bizarre.
When they announced that he was going to take over the Alpine division, alarm bells went in my head. That seemed to kind of be... It was kind of poison chalice in a way. I kind of felt like that was this is the last chance saloon for you to prove yourself here.
But he only had 3 weeks to do it.
He did, and then he was gone. I mean, I think Renault obviously, did not come fourth in the championship a couple of years ago, or was it third? No, it was fourth, wasn't it?
I think it was fourth, but I don't know.
And
I don't want to say.
And it looked like they were going to take a big step forward, and then they never did. This season they did have good periods.
Yeah, that team, historically, whether it's been called Renault or Lotus, still has a really good history. Or Benetton before that. It's just had a dip of form of late, so there's always the potential.
Yeah, that potential has never quite came the past few years,
No, it
and
hasn't.
I wondered if just going into this is the final year of these rules. We want to get 2022 right. Let's make the change now, rather than
Maybe.
giving them another year.
Yeah. And the change is interesting. It's the so Suzuki won MotoGP this year, which was an incredible result. I don't want another crazy year as well. So they've got their boss Davide Brivio, who I thought would. Why would you not want to continue at Suzuki because you've just won the title? But clearly, the lure of a mid-grid F1 team is even more. Because he's got the top job. It's been confirmed. It might have even been confirmed today that officially that he is now the boss of the Alpine F1 team. So it'd be interesting to see someone coming from a slightly different angle. But then to be a team leader in one sport, it's all about motivation. I guess a lot of it, not the technical aspects, right? Maybe so it could work. It'd be interesting.
Yep. I mean, what did you think?
Oh yeah, we should talk about that year, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, what do you think of the year overall? I mean, I think Daniel Ricciardo, was pretty impressive.
I would
the
agree.
middle of the season, I'd say he was impressive. Ocon, I never really felt like got too close to Ricciardo at any real point. He got his second place in Sakir, but he was never really.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Ocon I was expecting. After his years at Force India.
It was a subdued Ocon, and I think it was which of the Austrian races was a wet qualifying? Was it the second one, the Styrian Grand Prix? He did very well in qualifying there, and out-qualified Ricciardo, and I said something like, "Here we go, the old Ocon is back." And little did I know that I think it's almost like a Hamilton Bottas scenario where once he's got a few bad results against Daniel, his dander was down. He had that weird crashing practice for Spanish Grand Prix where he was trying to avoid Magnussen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the Monza race, he had a complaint, and they're like, "No, you can't talk about stuff." Things actually got frosty for a bit there. And I think without the podium, they could have been, maybe signing someone else for next year if it wasn't. There was a moment there where it was a bit on shaky ground, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his results now, and there's a couple of sixths, couple of fifths, but there's a lot of retirements.
Yep.
And even the season end was 11th. Well, retirement 11th, 9th, 2nd, 9th. So
yep.
He's all over the place considering Ricciardo was middle of the season was 4th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 3rd. It was just there was a big difference between the two.
Ricciardo finished 5th in the championship. Ocon 12th.
Yep.
That is quite a big delta, as David Coulthard would say. But I would say difference because I'm a human being. And so it would have been good to see him step on, but I don't think he quite did. But we don't know. Yeah, let's see what he does next year.
Well, if he was closer to Ricciardo's results, let's just say they would have probably got 3rd.
Ooh, good point.
There was a good chunk of that season. I'm thinking Spa, Monza, and I think even Mugello, they were strong.
Yeah,
their car was the 3rd best car.
Yeah, wasn't it weird how it was on the quick tracks that the Renault was strong?
Yeah,
which is completely opposite to what we normally expect. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
but they weren't good on the twistier, slower stuff. So I don't know if that was an aero imbalance, how the aero were designed. I don't think that's because the engine's particularly amazing in a straight line. I think it's more to do with that car's strengths and weaknesses in the aero point of view. I could be wrong there.
So it's a big year for him next year, going up against Fernando Alonso.
The return of the king-ish?
Yeah, the guy who had 2 good seasons about 15 years ago.
Ouch.
Well, when you think back, what was it, 2005 and 6?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
15 years since he won the last title then.
Goodness.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, but he has been competitive since, although 2007 he got whooped by some rookie guy. Not whooped, but it was close.
Yeah.
And then the Ferrari years, he was sort of...
second. He was close to a couple of titles, but then his personality managed to force him out of a winning car. Where then
and Vitaly Petrov, it's all his fault.
Yeah, it is. So I think he still holds a grudge over him for that, by the way.
I was watching that again recently.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It is funny because Petrov drove a great race. It pitted on lap 2 or something and did the whole race on one set of tyres and kept Alonso behind.
Yeah.
You know, fair play.
It's not his fault. There's nothing to be angry about.
I know.
You just couldn't beat the guy. But
it's not Petros's fault anyway. It was Ferrari's fault for pitting against Webber and forgetting about Vettel. That's actually what happened in that race, but I digress. That's a podcast for another time. What was crazy though, did you see the footage of Alonso in Abu Dhabi driving the old V10 Renault?
I did.
What do you think about that?
Incredible. I want those engines back. I think those cars just look better as well.
They're like narrow.
They're narrow. And they look more active, if you know what I mean. I feel like when you're watching the onboards of the guys in the F1 cars now, it's like watching us on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's just turn.
No one
it's
wants to
just
do
turn. No, it's just like it feels like it's turning the wheel when it's just gone round the corner. It's just fine. But I feel like Alonso, you watch him on the wheel.
Wrestling
he's wrestling it. He's feeling the grip. It feels like a proper.
Yeah, it's fierce.
A proper F1 car. I know we'll never go back to big engines that scream like
over.
that, but.
So are we saying the highlight of Renault's season was Alonso driving an old car?
It was. That's as good as it can be.
Oh, and have we seen a picture of Cyril's tattoo?
No, I don't think he got it. Has he got it yet?
I don't know.
I don't think he
doesn't matter now.
He's just got sacked. I don't think he'll bother.
So Renault was meh, but it could have been better. It was close to being good.
They've got I do like the livery for the winter time. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have for the Alpine. Yeah, but it's not the final one, is it? So
no, it's just I think for testing. But I do really like it. If that's going to be the new car scheme.
Yeah, I think for me, just to go on a little tangent, I really like the Alpine road car division. I don't know why it exists. Making one custom designed sports car that doesn't share a platform with anything else in a singular brand is not a business case, especially in this current era. But I enjoy it and I like it exists. So branding the F1 team to me suggests, okay, there's going to be a plan and we're going to actually make an effort of it. So that's great. But I think the team will just be treading water. I don't know. Oh, how about this? Do you want to have a bet? Do you think Alonso will beat Ocon next year or not?
Yes.
You do? Oh,
because
I'm tempted to say he's not.
Because I think he's a nasty git and he's going to go in and take over that team and boot Ocon to the curb. As he always does.
Yeah, okay. When you put it like that, I can't disagree. Let's not have a bet.
I'd like to see Ocon do well next year.
Me
I think
too.
he needs. If he doesn't beat
Alonso
next year,
he's out.
then his career's over.
Yeah.
Because there's other Frenchmen who could probably suck in that seat quite easily.
Yes, there is.
The Alpine name change struck me as Cyril trying to save his job since he was put in charge.
Maybe.
And that seemed like an easy decision for him. He's put in charge of a road car division. That seems unsalvageable in some ways. Let's change the name of the F1 team.
True.
But I do wonder if Renault are regretting that now that it's not under a single management because the race team's going to be, I've forgotten the guy's name from Suzuki.
Brivio.
Yeah, he's now race manager.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've announced a new head that I've seen anyway.
Okay.
Division.
They might have done. I've not seen it if they have. Sorry.
Yeah, so that kind of continuity is just kind of been broken by
Completely.
the guy who was supposed to head it up. So I do wonder if they regret it. But if you're right, if they're going to invest in that division, then it might be a good branding.
And I just want to say as well, like we've got the rebrand, but I think a very real stage of the year it could have been that team was withdrawn. Yeah. Renault as a road car division is struggling. Their market share has dwindled. On the flip side to that, one of their budget brand Dacia is doing very, very well. But then that's not the brand you would ever promote in Formula One.
No.
So it could have been a very realistic time, I think, without the rebrand that nothing happened. Also, if they weren't able to get Alonso, that would have also been the end probably as well. So we'll see. I'm glad they're around for 2 years and we just have to sort of hope they step on a bit.
Do you think they'll step up going into the new rules?
No, I think they're just treading water for another... Oh, yeah, going into the new rules, I hope so. But 2021, this year, they're just treading water.
Yeah, and the fight for third again. But
I don't think they'll even do that. I'll bet that for prediction.
No,
Alonso
you
will
think
come
they're gonna-
back and he'll get a 10th place position in the first race, and he'll be go, I'm back, everybody. He might get 4th or podium in the first race, and then actually what'll happen is he'll be fighting for points at the bottom. Oof! I'm putting it out, sticking my neck on the line. There you go.
Yeah, that's a hell of a prediction. Ferrari. Since we're talking about treading water.
Isn't it weird how it's been so late into this podcast we're mentioning Ferrari?
Yeah. They are basically, they were caught cheating. And they had to take their medicine over this season.
They let everybody down because it's not just Ferrari that let down, it's Haas and Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
The engine is such a strong power unit, is such a strong main component of your Formula One car performance. And these guys were still on the straight. So game over really.
Yeah. Their new engine, they're bigging up as it's going to be a cure for all the problems.
I believe it when I see it. Part of me is that media speculation to try and get us hyped for the new season of Formula One. Come on, guys, they could do it.
They've got an extra 15 horsepower.
Yeah.
This,
of course, means that only improves you if no one else improves as well.
Yeah. Which Mercedes stopped developing their car about 5 races in and started developing this year's car.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
they're just. They might get back up in the fight for third, but they're not going to do much better. But I think what this season did show is how good Charles Leclerc is.
Yep.
And perhaps how political Ferrari may be, or it's either showing how quickly that team moved over to Leclerc, or it showed that Sebastian Vettel was over the hill, and certainly in that team had his time.
If we're saying that Bottas was demoralised and Albon lost his drive, Vettel got rewarded with an expensive contract at Aston Martin for being the worst teammate of the year.
Yeah.
It's not very justified, in my opinion.
Well, I'm just looking for Leclerc. Leclerc outdrove the car. I think that's clear.
Yeah,
because
he did. But he also overdrove a bit sometimes and made some errors.
Yeah, but he certainly did better than that car should have ever done. I'm looking. He had 2 podiums in the first 4 races somehow. He had another 3 fourth places, and then was always in the points. There was only 3 races where he wasn't in the points and didn't retire.
Yeah,
I mean that's for a car that bad.
Yep,
was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean when you look at Vettel getting 1 podium all year, finishing 13th in the points. And Leclerc actually having some fight and the opportunity at least to be there or thereabouts somewhere in that mix in the top 6. Incredible. Like I say, I think he did overdrive. In order to get those performances, he had to overdrive. And that, he crashed on his own in Monza during the race. He arguably caused, at the Sakir race, the incident on the first lap. And there was a couple of other misdemeanors throughout the year, but it doesn't matter because... Or maybe there was the contact one of the Austrian races. Was that his fault with his teammate? Doesn't matter really, because the incredible performance makes you forget all those small mistakes. Yeah, and he's a star driver, so how is Sainz going to get on there? We'll see.
Yeah, it's you can understand why Ferrari signed Sainz because he's an incredible driver.
Yep,
but Ferrari's
almost too good.
Ferrari's never been a team that likes 2 incredible drivers.
Ever.
They like 1 incredible driver and a muppet next to him who can sit in these mirrors.
Fernando is faster than you.
Exactly. So I think it's a risk for them, but it's not a big risk. It's not a big problem when they're not in the fight for wins. It's a big problem when they go into 2022 and they've got 2 strong drivers and they're fighting for wins.
I can see from Carlos's point of view that, Ferrari's come knocking, so you would, wouldn't you? But then, I've said that expression twice this podcast, I do apologise. But then, it seems to be so centred around Charles. He's been their protege for, even before when he drove for Ferrari, he drove for Alfa, then he was backed by Ferrari in the junior formula. It's going to be difficult. Well, anyway, this year Charles was great. We'll see what happens next year. We hope, really, even though I'm not a member of the Tifosi, that Ferrari steps up a gear, but we'll see.
Yeah, you want them back at the front.
You do,
at least
really.
closer to Mercedes. And I want to see Carlos Sainz win a race. Because I feel like he's good enough.
Yep.
He's good enough for a top drive, and if you get the chance at a top team, you can't really say no.
Yep.
I mean, well, we're talking about Nico Hülkenberg and Perez Eller never getting a top drive, and Perez is finally getting it in his 30s. Hülkenberg is now out of the sport. These really good drivers never got the chance. And if they do get the chance, they can't really miss it out.
No. So you've got to go for it.
Got to go for it.
Yeah. Well, not much else to say about Ferrari, really.
No.
Other than it was a massive, crushing disappointment for everybody involved. And I'm surprised Binotto's still got a job.
Yep, I agree. I'm shocked that he's still there, considering how
blame culture it is.
Yeah, ruthless Ferrari. I mean, I can't remember the previous guy's name. Rigatoni. That's it. I forgot his name. But the really gruff guy.
That's a pasta. You've named a pasta.
I know. Oh, that's terrible. What was his name?
I can't remember. It's like Arrivederci or something, isn't it?
That's it.
It's not. That's goodbye in Italian.
Oh, God.
It's something like that. It was the guy from Marlboro, though, right? Who looked like he smoked 27 million a day. Is that what we were thinking of?
Yeah. Grey-haired, beard.
Yeah.
Gruff, beautiful man.
I'm going to Google him now while you talk.
But if you look at what Ferrari were doing under him, they were fighting for wins. They made a lot of mistakes. Let's be wrong. Ferrari operationally are a terrible team. They get strategy wrong all the time. They get pit stops wrong all the time. They're a mess that way. But he was sacked while they were competing. But somehow Binotto's held on his job when they're not.
They're probably all blaming the previous guy. I don't know. But Maurizio Arrivabene. Oh, I can't say it. Arrivabene.
Arrivabene. Yes.
Arrivabene. There we go.
But
that was embarrassing. We got that very wrong, but that's funny.
Yep. he was sacked for finishing second, so
yeah, I know.
Binotto needs to get this year right and next year right.
Bring back Luca de Montezemolo. Although he wasn't the team principal, he was the Ferrari boss, and that was the best area for that company, road car and race car, I think. Who was before that though? Stefano Domenicali, right? Now, isn't he now the boss of F1?
Yes.
Interesting.
He's taken over from Chase Carey.
He is.
This year.
He's affected. So Ferrari bias rumours already.
Yeah. We've got Jean Todt at the head of the FIA.
Oh yeah.
So.
Although Domenicali comes from the Lamborghini road car company. I don't know if he came straight from that, but he has been doing that of late. So I don't think he's that biased. But you never know, do you?
I do think it's shocking that the Jean Todt agreed to keep whatever they were doing with their engine the year before secret and came to a private deal with Ferrari.
We don't know the details, do we?
No. The rumours were that they found a way to either trick or bypass a fuel flow sensor so they were able to generate more power. But the fact that that's all been covered up in a secret agreement just stinks to me. Yeah. I feel it's one of those. I feel like take your pain for a year and then we'll let you get back to the front the year after.
Yeah. Maybe they're allowed to turn up the wick again.
Yeah, that's maybe this is maybe a punishment year. There was a deal done. We know there was a deal done. It seems strange that was done and kept private.
If it wasn't dodgy, it would be public knowledge.
Exactly.
Is my thinking. That's my personal opinion. Don't come in at night and shoot me, please.
No. But if you catch a member of your sport cheating, it's always published what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, the full Racing Point issue was widely published.
Yep.
All the papers were public, and the fact that Ferrari's wasn't is.
It goes back to those early days of F1. Is that Bernie Ecclestone's opinion was always along the lines of something, and I'm completely paraphrasing. F1 isn't F1 without Ferrari. So they would have leveraged that, I'm sure. Well, if you throw us out of last year's results, come on, it doesn't count.
Ferrari are always threatening to quit.
Actually, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
At least a year.
Yeah. But, same with Red Bull, actually.
Yeah.
But, to be honest, I don't think that it would be a big loss to F1 to not have Ferrari, but I'm not one of those that think that they're the be-all and end-all.
Oh, there'll be riots on the street, Colin. Not from me.
They've not won a title in 14 years.
Yeah, I know.
They're not. they're not the force that they were under Schumacher. So I'm a bit less concerned myself about if they were to throw their toys at the pram one year and quit.
That's controversial, that is.
It would hurt F1, but I'm personally of the opinion that
Yeah, I think we're just...
F1's big enough to survive without them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good way of looking at it. Yeah, I'm
Same
just not a
with
huge fan, but I would miss them.
No, and same with Red Bull. If they want to throw their toys at the pram and quit, F1 will survive without them.
Yeah, although it would take out 4 cars, not just 2.
Who cares? I'm fed up with Christian Horner. But they're coming out every year with his begging pot saying, "Can we change the rules to help us?"
If they leave, can we bring back Stewart Grand Prix, please? Thanks.
There's some great old teams you could bring back.
Yeah. Life is more boring without Eddie Jordan.
I did.
That might be too far. I'll take that back.
I did see some Eddie Jordan quotes there. But
Did you?
We'll not speak about them.
I've not read them, so yeah.
It's just him being a whinge.
Anyway, where were we?
Ferrari, they're
Oh yeah,
they'll be back, but they're taking their punishment.
mm-hmm.
AlphaTauri though,
weird year.
What a year! I think they've been outstanding, especially Pierre Gasly. The win in Italy was mega to hold off quicker
It
cars.
was just the best thing to see.
Yeah, he held off Carlos Sainz in a quicker car. He held off, Lance Stroll. He was behind them too, a quicker car.
In a Mercedes?
Yep, and I think that was my highlight of the year actually, was the Italian Grand Prix.
Oh really?
Seeing that race.
Yeah.
Seeing him win.
Yeah.
A guy I thought was garbage, to be brutally honest.
A lot of people did, didn't they? Well, he was good, and then, but yeah.
After his Red Bull run.
Sacked halfway through a year. That's bad.
Yeah, he looked like he was finished for a
Yeah.
few races even after that, but then he came back, and I think the AlphaTauri car looks... I don't think he would want to go back into Red Bull and be second fiddle, so I think he's in the right place for now.
Yeah, he's signed there for one more year, hasn't he? Sensible decision. Maybe it was mutual, but his win... It wasn't just his win this year. It was also... I seem to remember someone was overtaking him during the Eiffel Grand Prix, and I thought, oh, that's smart. He's not fought it too hard. You know, he's much more self-aware than he's previously been with the placing of the car. He also had a good result in the Portuguese Grand Prix, I think it was. He was P5. The Eiffel Grand Prix was P6. Bahrain P6. They're all really good for that car. So the win's incredible. Wasn't it just amazing to see like the retribution there, or the validation of his talents? I can't understand what it would feel like for him, but it also was just good throughout the year as well. Yeah,
consistently good. He didn't really... I can't really remember many mistakes either from him. I think it was when he was fighting Albon, and Albon was on the radio whinging about people
why they fight
me
so hard.
Yeah, because you're an F1 driver, and everyone wants your job.
See, I took that as, why are the other? Why is the other Red Bull team not letting the other one through? But there's many reasons for that.
Yeah, whereas I know Pierre had these whinges over the radio every now and again, but he was just solid all year.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
I think long term he's not going to be in the Red Bull family. They clearly don't like him at Red Bull.
Yeah.
He's had some falling outs apparently. According to Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta said that in his exit from Red Bull, some words were said and some relationships were broken.
Dear.
So I think he's probably got an eye on a Renault drive.
So he could be lucky. He was lucky that he got an AlphaTauri seat almost.
Yeah.
In some respects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he does move on. On a serious note, because his talent is worthy of a drive. Because I honestly feel that the AlphaTauri will never ever be a race winner, and it must be pretty difficult to be in a seat where there's never the chance, because the Red Bull car will always be better.
Yeah.
So at the very least, you're never going to be better than that car in theory.
Red Bull say it's now a sister team rather than a junior team, but
nah,
I don't see that. I think if you were to compare the budgets,
yeah,
they're not going to be equal. And what's the more valuable brand for the Red Bull company? Is it the Red Bull or is it the AlphaTauri that sells £700 parkas.
I think it's probably the energy drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then do you want to talk about the second driver? It's almost easy to forget him, but Daniel Kvyat.
Daniel Kvyat.
Career-ending season.
I thought he had a good season.
He did, yep.
There was the usual Kvyat moments.
What, like P11, P12, like every other race?
Yeah, and then putting people on the roof.
There was that.
But I thought he was driving pretty well. I think the first race of the season he had brake problems, then he got some points.
A bunch of Silverstone, which he thought was his fault.
That was a big crash.
Yeah.
And then he got fourth in, was it Monza?
Imola.
No, Monza, Imola.
I've watched that clip of him doing the safety car restart. I think it was a safety car restart about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
He comes out the last corner and he's got everything lined up, and you can see him pressing all the buttons, so he's like managing the energy. He's got enough battery boost built up. He positions it perfectly. He gets double slipstream. I mean, where's that driver been in the last 4 years? It was perfect. It was almost like he's ahead of Gasly in that race. So, right, I'm actually going to be able to do something now. So that was amazing. That was amazing.
Leclerc, would they take from the outside?
Yeah, then later in the lap he got Leclerc as well, which is just wow.
That was a bright move. I know. So I do like Danny Kvyat.
Me too.
I think I tweeted during the season that it was a mistake for Red Bull to drop him, considering their troubles. But it wasn't, obviously, because they dropped him for Max Verstappen. But they've been set.
I agree. I think it would have been good for him to finish that season way back when he was in the Red Bull and get Max in the next year. But then Max won straight away. I know, but just in their search for a second driver the past few years, if you look at the first season, he outscored Ricciardo. Second season, he got a podium. He had a bad race in Russia where he wiped out Vettel. It almost feels like that is what lost him the drive.
Yeah.
It feels harsh now.
Yeah, there was other moments. He crashed Japan. He had that bad crash. Things like that.
Yeah.
But I think overall, he was a decent second driver. And certainly I think he would have done better than Albon.
Yeah.
And he even would have probably done better than Gasly last season.
Yep.
So I feel a bit sorry for him.
I feel sorry for him. And he's had a good he's got a good attitude to the fact that he knew it was on borrowed time. Yeah. He's still been quite positive in his interviews and stuff. He qualified P6 in Abu Dhabi, which was great. The race didn't go to plan, but good speed.
I don't think he'll be back, but
no, I think it's over.
I think he's trying to get back, but I don't see anyone.
I wonder if they could have him like the reserve driver or something next year for something.
Yeah.
You know, in the years in the wilderness, he was Ferrari's like simulator person, wasn't he, for a bit? Maybe he could get another role like that.
Yeah, just to keep him around the sport.
Mm.
I've not seen what he's doing next year, but I know he was talking about trying to stick around somewhere.
I think he's really good. I think he's quick. He's had a good year, but there's too many outside of the points finishes. So we've got 3 P11s and 3 P12s. They're fine. It's fine, isn't it? But you don't get points for that.
No.
So you can switch it on, but just not on a regular basis, and that's a shame. But he's going to be replaced by a new up-and-coming talent, so that's okay. At least it's not been Alonso in the seat instead or something.
No. Tsunoda, I'm quite excited to see how he'll do.
We need a good Japanese driver. It's been a while.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Was it Kobayashi was the last one?
I think that was the last good one. Yeah, definitely.
Has there been others since?
I don't know. I was just saying that to just protect myself in case I couldn't.
I couldn't remember anyone.
I think it's the last one, Kobayashi.
Yeah. I think he had a good year in F2. He had a couple of good wins.
Yep.
He inherited one win from Mazepin at one. I think at Hungary, but he was quick all year, and it'll be interesting to see him battling Gasly, and whether Tsunoda, if he beats Gasly and Perez has a horrible year,
who knows?
He's probably going straight into Red Bull, but I'm a bit worried about Red Bull doing that, but I'm excited to see him next year.
It'd be interesting. Part of me thinks maybe he should have had another year in F2, or I don't know. This is bad and ignorant on my part. If he's already done Super Formula in Japan, but I don't know. I think he's great and he's a good talent. maybe another year in junior formula might have helped him a bit better. I just don't want him to rush it.
No, I mean, where did they finish in the championship? Was it 4th or 5th?
I'm not sure. I was going to say P3, but
Was it?
you're probably more up to tune than me. Someone is listening to this going, "Oh my god!"
Oh, no,
what
you're
are you
right.
doing?"
Yeah, but you're right. It was P3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're well done. You pay more attention to me to have to.
I don't know about that.
But that was I didn't watch every F2 race this year.
Mm.
I watched. I think probably I watched about half of them. But when I did, he was always quite close to the front and doing quite well. But it's like a lot of good drivers in F2.
Yeah, there is. I personally
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, I think, but I personally find it a little harder to see through the F2 sort of 2-race format, semi-reverse grid, DRS, different tyre compound, pit stop formula to see which are the true talents, for want of a better phrase. It's harder to tell because someone might have like a good tyre strategy or something, but actually the cream always does rise to the top. So I agree. There's some great drivers in there. Unfortunately, Dan Ticktum's one of them, but you know. Anyway.
Dick Tantrum is his dub journey here.
Yeah, that's great.
There's a lot of drivers in F2 as well who are not so great off the track, and
Well, we'll come to one of those in a bit.
yeah, we'll come to him later. Move on to Alfa.
I wonder who you could be alluding to there, Colin.
I know. I wonder who I'm talking about. Alfa Romeo, kind of a nothing season.
Yeah, what is there anything to say to that other than Kimi Räikkönen qualified last, and I think more than once, and that's terrible.
Yeah, Kimi Räikkönen wasn't very impressive. To be honest, I'm slightly surprised he stayed on and wanted to keep him on rather than take on another Ferrari junior driver with potentially some more money. Because they're paying. Kimi Räikkönen's not a cheap driver, and there is Ferrari-backed drivers in F2 that probably could have moved up.
Yeah, I think a team that was damaged by the Ferrari engine.
Yep.
Not much more to say than that. The highlight was the video of Kimi driving Giovinazzi around the Nürburgring. I don't know if you've seen that in a road car.
Yeah,
that's the best thing of their season.
My highlight was when Kimi was following Giovinazzi in Spa.
Oh yeah,
complaining on the radio, he couldn't go to him, and then as soon as Giovinazzi crashes, he's off.
Yeah,
I told you like the best. So I thought Giovinazzi did better this year than he did last year in a worse car.
Yeah,
I still wasn't massively impressed. It was good off the line, but really I've not really seen.
Yeah, but the good off the line thing reminds me of, I think, well, maybe this is wrong because maybe Kimi was great off the line. I didn't notice it. Giovinazzi did. It was better than good off the line. He was good on lap 1. He was able to overtake stuff. But the Alphas are good off the line. They've got something. Remember the Hockenheim wet dry race? Was it last season or the season before? And they got disqualified for it because they're doing something funny with the start procedure.
They've got some version of traction control somehow built in.
Yeah. I remember I was listening to something today, and the Renault team back in the day used to have a crazy start. If you watched them back in the day, they were always crazy off the line. And apparently they just went to the Santa Pod drag raceway and just tested start line for months on end and had some crazy setup for it. Maybe Alpha does something like that. You don't know. I suppose you're not allowed to do that with the testing regs. I'm not sure.
No.
Anyway,
I do remember that. I wonder if there's something going on.
One to watch next year.
Kimi was it Mugello? No, not Mugello.
Oh, Portimao, he was good.
Portimao, yeah.
That was amazing.
That first lap was incredible.
All right, that was the highlight of the year. That's better than the Nürburgring video. Yeah, that was good. Because he was even overtaking people on the same tyres.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay. So maybe that is enough to warrant a drive next year if you've got more power. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting a Ferrari Junior, like, I don't know, Schwartzman or something to end up.
Yeah, same.
Obviously, quite happy with what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more really to say about them.
No, me neither.
No.
Lots to say about this one, though.
Oh, good old Haas. 2 or 3 points finishes this year.
I think it's a couple, yeah. I think there was... well, Magnussen finished P9 in Hungary, but there was a penalty, right? So he finished P10.
Yeah, so he was 10th there, and then at the Eiffel Grand Prix, Grosjean got 9th.
And that was a
So-
good drive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't just like a kind of lucky P9. He did a good job. And also, he was really good at the Silverstone Grand Prix, one of the Silverstone Grand Prix, I thought. I know everyone was complaining and he moved late in the braking zones and stuff, but I don't know if you remember, he was out of... he sort of stayed out on the towel and he did really well, though, to keep up in that car. He actually kept up. I know it was in a DRS train, but he did it. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah.
On the flip side...
I think I said earlier on the podcast, he's driving like a man who knows he doesn't have a job next year.
You did say that, yeah.
He obviously didn't really care anymore. Again, that teams went backwards a lot, and I don't put that down to just the Ferrari engine, because they struggled massively last year, and they struggled massively again this year.
Yeah.
They stopped development a couple of races in. As I said, we've got this one wrong as well, and gave up. So
I think the car they used in Abu Dhabi was the same car they used pre-season, right? The same spec. Well, that's a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah. And it would at one point this year that they were going to be gone.
Yeah, so big cash flow issues, apparently, so the rumour goes. And so obviously they're writing off the car as a bad one, but they probably couldn't afford to do updates as well, maybe.
No.
Who knows? Big shame. They've
for
got some money for next year, though, apparently.
They do. I'm surprised they're still on the grid, to be honest, because they're not. They started well, and then every year they've went backwards. And they've kept the same management, they've kept the same structure, they've kept the same team members, and not really seem to be doing anything to try to turn it around.
It's weird.
Except from taking a lot of Russian money next year.
Yeah, I mean, Gene Haas is wealthy, and his Haas Engineering Company is very wealthy, but I think he wants to run the F1 team, kind of rightly so, as just like a business in its own right. He's clearly not wanted to put his own or his business's funds into it. And there's a big debate there as to whether that's a good thing or bad thing. I think in the end that's what was the demise of Jordan in the end, because Eddie Jordan didn't put any of his personal money. But sometimes you might have to think, well, I can put some of my personal funds in to get it going for at least a year or two, to try and get it up there, to get the big sponsors in. But obviously that's not the decision that's been made.
Yeah, I can understand why they would want to put his money in, but it just seems like on and off track, all the decisions they make are wrong. you had the whole Rich Energy saga last season.
Oh, yeah, God.
And it just doesn't seem like a team that's got their stuff together. And I'm worried that they'll be gone pretty soon. I know they've committed, but that commitment is really, it's not worth the paper it's written on, really.
Yeah, it depends on we mentioned... This is a 2020 season review podcast. I think we mentioned 2022 more than 2020 in a way, but that's my fault. But it'd be interesting to see if they commit to that year.
Well, to be honest, everyone's kind of treading a bit of water till then, because nobody, Red Bull might be able to beat Mercedes, but nobody else is really going to be able to compete.
Yep.
So I think everyone's just kind of biding their time. And if that goes badly for a few teams, I think even Renault, if that's a bad transition, they might not hang about either.
These teams in Class D as well. The other weird thing is the cost-cutting measures coming into place, and the it's not a balance of performance. How dare we say that? But it's like they get more time in the aero development and elements like this. So it maybe Haas is playing a blinder and going, well, we'll just finish bad for a couple of years so we get that. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I don't think that's what they're doing.
Driver lineup next year: Mick Schumacher and the Russian.
Yeah. Hashtag say no to Mazepin. Hashtag say no to Matty Gallagher, as I've saw as well recently, which is unfortunate. Who's the
Matty Gallagher?
Yeah, he's a WTF1 person, and he's been very on the whole say no to Mazepin, and now the community's flipped and turned and said he's talked about it too much.
He's an interesting character.
I've not seen the video actually, and I'm not going to. I don't think, but.
I've seen that video. There's been other instances of, let's say, unprofessional behaviour being publicised. He's looks a good driver.
He's got a super license, so there you go.
I thought I think it was Hungary won, but then lost at post-race penalty to Shinoda. So he is a good driver.
He won a couple
It's
of
just-
F2 races this year, finished P5.
It's just he's another pay driver with a rich Russian oil money coming in behind him from his dad, which automatically taints him. And then his public misdemeanors haven't helped him.
No, they haven't.
So I don't think he's coming into F1 with many fans.
But I don't think Haas had the option of getting rid of him.
No, if his dad's basically propping up a team for the
Yep.
season, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to say no.
Yep.
Mick Schumacher though, I'm excited to.
Yes,
see
let's talk
in
about
F1.
that instead.
Well, his first little run in F2 didn't go exactly very well, but then this season he just seemed to take a massive step forward after the first few races.
He was always there or thereabouts, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a bit weird that he's in the Haas and not the Alpha. Going back to our conversation about Kimi or Giovinazzi, you could maybe say that might be the team to have a bit more potential at the minute. But
Yep.
It's marginal. So yeah, there's a Schumacher back in F1. Happy days.
If he goes well, there's probably going to be a Ferrari seat in 2 years waiting for him as well.
There we go. That's the big end game, isn't it?
Yeah. If he goes well in 2 years and
Yeah.
Ferrari have the option of Carlos Sainz or Schumacher, I think we all know what they're going to pick.
Yeah. I mean, I hope for Sainz's what am I trying to say?
Sainz is sick.
He's sick. There we go.
Sick.
Sainz is sick. He does well because he's got a replacement lined up already there. And probably Schumacher, it's going to be weird with Schumacher because he's going to be not able to learn from a teammate.
No.
But then, is there a lower bar to, if he finishes next to last all the time, but last is Mazepin, then he's
Yeah.
having a good year, isn't he?
Exactly.
So there's no
Yeah.
pressure, but I probably, to really see if he's any good or not, you needed to be in a team where there's an established driver.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was strange that Alpha stuck with Giovinazzi. Because Giovinazzi's clearly not going to get a Ferrari drive now.
No, the
so
Ferrari dream is gone.
Yeah, so it seems strange that they've kept him in the Ferrari program and put
Schumacher in Haas.
Schumacher in a more a team that's struggling probably slightly more than Alpha. Because you don't hear about Alpha or Sauber about to die every 10 minutes. You don't hear about those problems, even though their car wasn't good this year. You're not hearing
Yeah.
the same drama and trouble that Haas seem to have.
Yeah, and although the Alpha Sauber relationship interesting because the Alfa Romeo deal to sponsor the team and rebrand the team was by Sergio Marchionne, the boss of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles at the time. He's since deceased. The company is merging with PSA, the French automotive group, and the Alfa Romeo brand isn't selling very many cars. So I know it's locked in for 21, but it's not certain. So Sauber might return, I reckon, at some point. We'll see.
Yeah.
How about that? That's another one.
What cars do Alpha make? They've got the Giulia, Giulietta.
Yeah.
They've got the big
Stelvio. That's it.
Stelvio. Is that it?
In America, you can still buy the 4C, I think.
Mm.
But you can't get that in Europe anymore. And the Giulietta's like 10 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah.
I think they just keep making it till no one buys it and then they'll just stop. I think they've got an SUV coming this year, which is based on the Jeep Renegade, which isn't very good. That's already 6-7 years old anyway. But now they've merged with PSA, which is Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, and Vauxhall. And in effect, that company, there is only one CEO, and he's the guy it's Tavares from the French company. So in effect, it's a takeover. And I think they'll cull a load of brands that aren't selling very well. And I hope it's not Alpha there, but it could be. So we'll see how that changes. There's big politics going on there in the road car division, just like there is with the Renault and Alpine move, and just like there is with the Aston Martin Mercedes. So there's actually a couple of big F1 teams where the futures aren't very clear, I think, because of the road car involvement. Oh, well. Anyway, Haas. We have not talked about Grosjean's crash yet.
No. Yeah. Spectacular.
Yeah.
To be totally honest with you, when I was watching it live, when I seen the fireball, I thought that was dead.
Yep.
And when the cameras wouldn't cut back to it for... It was probably about, 2 or 3 minutes till they cut back to seeing him in the medical car.
Never a good sign. Well, then when they saw him in the medical car, great. But when they don't cut back, it's never a good sign.
But they don't come back for so long. You're thinking, oh God, how bad is this?
Yeah.
And he's a very lucky boy.
Mm.
The halo saved his life,
Yep.
but also almost trapped him in a burning car. So
Yeah, difficult one, that. Well, it definitely did save his life, because I think that's it. But then it makes it difficult to get out.
Yeah, so the fear about Halo was proven, whereas it took him 30 seconds to get out, and he was very lucky that the barrier wasn't sitting over his Halo an inch over.
Yeah,
so
because there wouldn't have been a gap to get out.
Yeah, but it saved his life from the impact.
Yeah. So yeah, and I also think what made it difficult for him to get out was the big, the bit of like big foam that goes around like the back of them, and then to the left and right, it's like a what you call it, like a shoulder or something. It affects their visibility quite badly. I've just hit my mic. Sorry if you can hear that. Then they normally have to sort of undo that and flip it over, but I don't think he could do it right. So you had to sort of clamber through it. Then you've got your hands device, which is restricting which way you can look left and right. But again, the hands had a part to play in saving his life, because the high G of that impact, the speed, was it 170 miles an hour or something? You know, the net movement without that would have been extremely severe, and then the halo with it on the head. So yeah, it's incredible as well. But let's not hope anyone. I don't think they will, but can't rest on your laurels. There's always improvement. You know, let's look at how flame retardant the gloves are. That's a small element, isn't it? And when they replaced that barrier, well, first of all, they need to look at what the barrier type is, because is that appropriate? I don't know. And then they replaced it with concrete blocks. That seemed a bit weird to me. Yep. So it actually opens... well done. The safety's great, but also there's actually still a load of areas to look at. Yeah,
because they upped the fire resistance rating of the suits, but not the gloves. And then... it seems odd.
It does seem very weird.
Especially when you see the pictures. I don't know if you've seen them in the last few days. It goes on to post pictures of his hands.
Doesn't look good, does it?
They're still in a bad nick. What? 2
One of them
is.
Later? Yeah. It's like all purple. After?
Yeah. That's going to need skin grafts and a lot of...
That must hurt a lot to change the dressing each time. It's one of those things where it looks like it sticks to it.
Yeah.
So every time he does it, it's going to be agony.
I know, and so there's obviously something there. I thought it was strange that a week later they didn't do anything to the barrier.
Yeah,
when they did the Sakir race.
I think they just put concrete up, didn't they? Instead,
during the race.
Oh, during the race that was
for Sakir, they just put back the
same
railings.
barrier. Yeah.
And then Kimi spun coming out.
Oh, he did.
Turn 2, and it was just a flashback of it's happened again. But I think they need to have a review of certainly barriers which angle towards the track.
Yep.
It seems mad that you've got barriers which come towards the line of fire, basically.
Yeah.
They have no protection on them at all.
If it was not an angled barrier, he would impact it and more of an, because it was angled to hit it straight on, which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll never know what might have happened, I guess, but it's a very good point that why is it angled in that? I suppose is it angled that way so there's got like a bit where they can pull a car behind it?
Yeah. So it was a marshal's gap, so they could get in and out of the track. But to me, if you're going to have something protruding towards the track, it's got to have a tyre barrier or a tight pro barrier or something.
Yeah.
And I know those aren't ideal. I know they're hard to hit. I know, like, Sainz got stuck under one a few years ago at Russia.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
They're not perfect, but to have a solid metal barrier there or some tyres. Because if it had been tyres, it would have went under it or it would have bounced off of it.
Yep.
It wouldn't have went through the full thing. I would think. Obviously, they're going to need to look into it.
Yeah, we don't know. But
I don't think they would have. I don't think the crash would have happened. I don't think the car would have split, and there wouldn't have been a fire. So
the car split. That was crazy. And to see fire in modern day Formula One is a big shock to the system, isn't it? It makes you realise, there is. We're so not used to seeing it because there's no refueling mistakes in pit stops or anything anymore. You almost don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you really do.
That first shot where they cut back and showed the car in half. I mean, you could even hear how shocked Martin Brundle was in commentary. Like, I don't think I can't remember the last time I've ever seen a car destroyed like that. I think it was... No, even in my time watching F1, I can't remember an F1 car being that badly wrecked.
For me, I remember Robert Kubica's crash in Canada.
Yeah.
That was a bad one. But it was not split in half.
No.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen split in half, really.
No.
I'm sure there's many examples of that over time, but not in the modern era where I've grown up watching it. I can't think of one that bad. Yeah.
No. I can't even remember the last time there was a crash followed by fire. Also, the ones you're talking about, there was an electrical fire late in that race with Perez. There was a refueling fire.
Yeah, cars blow up and have a bit of flames, don't they? But it's very different.
Yeah. But I can't ever remember in the how long I've been watching F1, seen a car crash and then burst into flames.
No. It's a really old school thing, isn't it? It's like a Niki Lauda at the Nürburgring scenario. And you don't think of that as being possible. We're so used to it not possible. It's just so that made it much more of a shock. And when it went to that first time I saw it, I couldn't work out where he was.
No.
I actually thought, oh, maybe he's been thrown to the other side of the track or behind the barrier or something. You can't see that he's in that flaming fire pit. And then what was really, really shocked me wasn't so much the initial first time you see it, because it actually showed him sort of coming out the car first, right? But it was the shot when the flames had stopped going down of the car stuck in the barrier. That was horrifying, because it was another level, and it was just oh my god, he's come out of that.
Yeah, you see the picture of just a mangled wreck with a car sitting half on its side. Not even a car. It's just a hole where someone was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just mad that he was able to climb out of that.
Yeah.
If you listened to his interview, he tried to get out and couldn't.
Yeah.
His ankle was pinned. His head was pinned.
Yep.
And
he lost one of his shoes, right? Because it was stuck in the body of the car somehow.
Yeah.
So it's very lucky that he was able to pull his foot out of the shoe.
Yeah, I think that's how he hurt his ankle, because his foot was somehow got caught under the pedal.
Yeah.
Which I think it was the Haas one that showed you earlier in the season or the season before.
Right.
And it's like a flat plate where the pedals are.
Okay.
So the fact that his somehow that deformed and his foot went under it seems mad.
And he didn't take the steering wheel out because the steering column had collapsed.
Yeah.
So the steering wheel's like somewhere, like, I don't know, down where his legs are or something.
Yeah.
And
the steering wheel's gone.
It's just not there. You can't see it anyway, can you?
Yeah.
And it sounds horrific. The fact that I suppose your normal instinct in a normal crash for F1 is if you can't get out, you wait for the safety crew, right? So he's sat there waiting for a bit, and also, you know, not unconscious, but like, you know, I've just had an accident. You know, your brain's not thinking straight. And then to have the impetus of, actually, no, I can't sit here because I'm on fire. And then he tried once, but he couldn't get out because of the angle as well, right? So to go again as well. It's just amazing human instinct sometimes, isn't it? That he was able to pull himself out. I just thought, wow, very incredible. We're very lucky that he's still around, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened in that situation which were pure luck.
Yeah.
Like the fact he wasn't knocked out.
Yep.
Or delirious at any point.
Yep.
And
he could have just been sat there, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, in fact, there wasn't any broken bones that stopped him moving.
Yeah.
There wasn't. I mean, there was.
Yeah, exactly. Could have had all sorts of injuries.
Yeah, because what was it, like 50-something G?
Ridiculous
impact.
amounts. Yeah. That would have knocked normal people out, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the fact that the barrier stopped where it did over his cockpit, so he had just enough room.
Yep.
If that's half an hour inch over, he's not getting out of there.
And most of the flames are sort of going around him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not in the initial blast, they're all going all over. He's engulfed in them, right? But just as he's trying to get out, they're just sort of around him. And the main big fire extinguisher that came in wasn't the guy near the accident. He actually ran across the track.
Yeah.
He came from the opposite side marshal post, which maybe that's against protocol. I don't know. But I'm glad he did it.
Someone did it later in the race for Perez's crash.
Oh, really?
Lando Norris got the fright of his life.
Oh, of course. Marshal. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think it is protocol. It's just...
I think if the Grosjean thing hadn't happened, but the Perez thing did, and there was a marshal run across, there'd been a big review. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But that's what really helped there, because that initial big blast of that fire extinguisher meant that they could like grab hold of him and pull him over, and because there was another marshal at the other side doing it, but that fire extinguisher was weak, He
Yeah,
wasn't really doing anything with it.
He was too far away from the fire.
There was that as well, yeah.
I'm not blaming him.
No,
I mean,
no.
if you're faced with that wall of fire,
Yeah,
the heat coming off of it,
Yeah.
to get close to that is really tricky. So
Yeah.
he was firing his fire extinguisher nowhere.
Yeah.
He couldn't.
And he
He
ran
couldn't
out
get
as well.
close.
But it was like a different type of extinguisher, because the other one
Yeah.
came and it was like a big white blast, wasn't it? And it was like, all right. But by that, Grosjean had already sort of extricated halfway out anyway.
Yeah, he was. Fair play to him for getting himself out.
Oh, yeah, I have a whole new level of respect. And now, he's got not a terrible way to sign off a career, but everyone's sort of writing like, oh, the guy who could have made it and stuff.
Instead of the guy that wiped everyone out at Spa and
all that.
kept.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the critiques of Grosjean you could easily make.
Yeah.
I think
I've always been an
he's-
apologist of him anyway, but a little bit.
Mm.
You haven't.
No, not particularly. To be fair to him, I think he's written to the teams asking for a private test next year, and I think there's been I think Mercedes said they might even give him one.
Oh, interesting.
Just so that
A
he's
final.
not. Yeah, he's
You need to
final
get back
fighting
on the
car and
horse to mentally recover as well a bit. Like right, I've driven an F1 car without being in a fireball now, so I can
Yeah.
maybe get on with my career in some other form of racing or something.
that. Yeah, so I think someone's going to give him a private test.
Or
next
maybe he does
season.
esports full time. He's got an esports team. He loves it.
Has he?
He does, yeah. He does like live streams on YouTube and
Ah.
he just speaks in French, like, so I don't really follow it. But
Ah.
he has got an esports squad and they're quite active.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think either him or Magnussen will be back in F1, or is that?
No, I think that's it.
Ah.
I think that's it. And throughout the year, I would say on balance that Grosjean outperformed Magnussen a bit. On points, the level, I think, but I think it was something I saw where it was the Haas team tweeted out some stats, and Grosjean was only one of them was Magnussen ahead. So, and that was even missing the last X number of or maybe they just only actually didn't count the last couple of races. But on that, actually, Fittipaldi was okay, actually.
Yeah. Is he
Uninspiring.
staying on at all for
Don't know.
reserve, or is he just going
Don't
straight back to F2?
Don't know, but as I said to you the other week, we saw him in Ginetta Juniors back in the day. We called that guy.
Yep, that guy I totally remember.
Yeah, we both remember it.
Absolutely. What a driver he was.
Oh yeah, amazing, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I have no memory of that. I just knew because I stumbled across a picture, and his Ginetta Junior was like not in the paddock. I don't know if it had an incident in the race. It was parked. Well, it was in the paddock, but it was not parked where the team awnings are and stuff. And I just saw the name on the side. Oh, Fittipaldi! I'll take a picture of that. Wow.
I do actually remember some of the junior races. They were exciting because they were stupid.
Yeah.
Like that no kill event. It was like every lap, everyone had the exact same crash at the hairpin. And it's like, come on, boys, somebody learn here.
We've got a team left. I've almost forgotten about them.
Do we have to?
Yeah, a little bit. Let's do a minute.
Williams Mercedes, 0 points.
Boo.
Boo.
But Q2.
Huh?
Q2.
Yeah, Q2.
Many times.
Russell smashed Latifi. What's this say? Although Latifi did have a couple of 11th places. I'm just looking at
Yep. Yeah.
3 11th places.
Oh.
So
And Latifi out-qualified his teammate once.
he did.
It wasn't Russell in the car, but...
No, it was Jack Aitken. But I'm just... I think, actually, over the races, Latifi was doing better than George. But...
Maybe
I
on
don't-
paper, but it's because a lot of the time George was starting higher up the grid and had
Yeah.
ambitions of points, so was trying extra hard to get that. And then sometimes, he slipped back. The strategy wasn't ideal for where they were because they were trying to get points at the time. There's all sorts you could look into that.
Yeah.
But I don't mind
I-
Latifi.
I wouldn't say I was ever impressed with him. Watching him during the
No,
season.
no.
It was his first year, so kind of give him a little pass, but...
But he's a Canadian with money and humility. He seems to be
He's
quite
a-
a nice person.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I do,
Yeah.
to be fair, I do quite like him.
So therefore,
when
he's
in
already better
interviews.
than the other Canadian.
Yep. I agreed. He's not got a smarmy little face.
No. He knows he's realistic, basically.
Yeah. But I'm hoping he does well next year. But
Me too.
in terms of on track, I wasn't ever impressed
Yeah.
with him at all.
Yep.
Jack Aitken, I thought, did reasonably well the
Yeah,
one race, apart from crashing and causing the Mercedes pit stop blunder.
it helped the world, that did. So it was a service he provided that race. It gave us an
Yeah.
entertaining race. So cheers, Jack.
It gave us.
Did he
it gave
continue in
us-
that race, though? Did he get a new nose and was all right, though?
Yeah, it was fine.
So, you can forgive a rookie for some errors like that. I think he did all right, yeah.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him, especially at Abu Dhabi when Hamilton came back,
Yeah,
'cause
you see.
that was his chance to have a
Another
second
go.
crack, and then But-
Yeah.
I think he's still going back to F2 next year, if I'm right,
I'm not sure.
think
I've not looked into it. I do apologise.
because he was having a tough season.
Manor, if he's listening, or Nick Saunders, he'll be like shouting at his podcast listening device. Although if he's listening during work, he won't be shouting at all because he'll get told off. He'd look like
Yeah.
a madman. But yeah.
These absolute morons. But I thought he did pretty well in qualifying and the race. I thought he did reasonable apart from that crash.
Yep.
But I don't know about you. Well, obviously Williams have been sold, so they're not actually Williams.
That's the biggest
anymore.
news for Williams this year.
But I don't know about you, but I just find it hard to care anymore.
Well,
about
now
them.
that the actual Williams aren't involved.
No, it's just I feel like it's been season after season of backward steps, and I'm at the point where I've not really got too much hope for them getting back towards the front.
You've overlooked the amazing fact, which I can't remember and I should research before I say it, but I'm going to go for it anyway. In that now they've got a deal for the Mercedes gearbox.
Yep.
And it staggered me that they didn't have that already, really.
No, I think they developed their own, didn't?
Yeah. And they used an aluminium casing. I think everybody else in the field was on carbon fibre. And now they're going to switch across. So there's reasons to be optimistic. But let's not expect miracles. But I just worry that if Ferrari's engine is actually improved, the Williams will fall back a bit again.
Yeah, I think they'll get closer to the midfield just on their pure performance. But
Yeah.
as you say, everyone else is going to improve.
Well, maybe.
But I don't think they're ever going to be a top team again. I think they've had their day, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them to get anywhere near the front anymore.
Well,
Even with budget caps, etc., and buying Mercedes parts, I think the shine's just kind of worn off Williams for me for the past few seasons.
it depends on. I agree, but it also depends on how committed the new owners are. Dorilton Capital, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but if they're really committed, which Claire Williams said they were, but it could just be PR speak. You never know.
She's got 100 million in her pocket.
Does she really?
I'm not sure she's that bothered anymore.
Oh, and Paul Frank's been ill recently, hasn't he? In hospital, I think. I hope he's all right. But
Yeah, I think he's out now.
Oh, I keep saying "but" there all the time. I hope the investment and the new people are committed. I hope they recruit some great people. Yeah, I think the championship winning days are over, right? But they could, if they are committed and keep going, they could be around and getting points for a good few seasons. Yeah, I hope.
Yeah. I mean, it's just for me going from when at times they were the closest challenger at Mercedes for a couple of seasons.
When the hybrid
before
era started, they were up there.
Yeah.
They didn't quite get that win. That annoyed me.
No,
They got the
No.
pole. They led. They got podiums. That was their golden opportunity.
yep.
Instead,
And,
we've got to go back to, was it 2012 with Maldonado? But there you go.
And
Was
then
it
every
2012?
season since then, they seem to just take backward steps. And
Whoa, this year was a step forward.
they went from 1 point to 0 points. So the step forward.
True.
The step forward.
And they
in
don't have the
pace,
world's
yes.
greatest driver in Robert Kubica in the car either, as the people in the forums will keep telling me.
That's true.
But they were, even with the Ferrari engine tuning going down for Alfa and Haas, therefore it made Williams look better than perhaps they were. They were still much quicker than they were last year compared to their own relative pace.
Yeah.
So, was a step forward, but you're right, they didn't get a point. So therefore it's not a step forward.
No.
Yeah.
It's half a step.
Yeah.
I hope they do well, and I don't want them to die. I don't want them to.
No, I don't.
I'd like to see them get back to the
Me
front.
too.
I don't see it anymore.
The plucky underdog.
that's now owned by a massive investment firm.
Yeah, so they're not really on it anymore.
No.
Yeah. Also, what if they have Bottas in? Oh, I can say next season now because isn't this season? Next season, what if Russell and Bottas swap? Do you think that would happen? Or do you think Bottas will retire and go rallying? Because he just competed in a rally this last weekend, actually.
Did he?
Yep, in I think it's called the Arctic Rally. And weirdly, they're going to kind of run that rally again, but with the stages reversed, I think, for the second round of the WRC because of COVID-related reasons and stuff. And I think he's down to compete in that as well. Could be wrong.
So maybe.
So, you know, he's doing a bit of Raikkonen.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't do a bit of Kubica, he'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. But,
Raikkonen, because Raikkonen wasn't very good with rallying, I don't think.
No.
But Raikkonen might do that again after he retires, actually, as well, thinking about it. Anyway.
Bottas, if you went from Mercedes to Williams, would you still have any motivation, do you think?
No, I don't think you would. The glimmer of hope, we've mentioned it a million times, though, is the new rules.
Yeah.
So you might do it for a year.
Yeah, it might be an opportunity just to...
Yeah. One last
push. I'm holding out hope for the 2022 rules that will close up the field, but yeah. I know realistically the size of Mercedes and
the huge investment and the number of people they've got and the resources.
Yeah. And even with budget caps, their car will be 90% designed already.
Yeah, they probably already finished it, right?
Yeah, with all the finances. Well, remember the cars were due this year.
Oh, yeah, of course they were. Good point. They have finished it.
The car probably will be finished for the majority of the grid. They'll have done the bulk of the work.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a hope, but I'm trying to keep optimistic.
Yeah. So we kind of started by talking about Bottas, and we've kind of ended by talking about Bottas, and we've talked probably more about 2022 than 2020. But in the end, I thought good season, well done for getting it done, and I loved probably more than anything actually the integration of these new or old tracks.
Absolutely. What was your? Give me a rundown of your new tracks.
Portimao number one for me.
Well, we had Mugello, Portimao, Nürburgring,
Turkey,
Imola, and Turkey.
Yeah. So my favourite track of all of them is Sochi.
Sakir.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Hey, Sakir wasn't as bad as it should be, right?
Sakir I preferred over the normal track.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would rather see that come back. But what was your thoughts on the other tracks that came?
Portimao for me is a track where even if nothing happens in the race, it would be amazing to see the cars drive around it.
Yeah.
So that's number one for me. And the second, and the same reason exactly, is Mugello, but the race was stop-start weirdness, but I don't think it's a good track to race on if there wasn't any incidents. But it was still really enjoyable to see them go through. There's like a right-left sequence, which in every other formula in the world is a brake down a gear, and F1 was completely flat, and that was just unbelievable. I could just watch a car go around there and practice on board, and I'm done. What about you?
I actually really enjoyed the Nürburgring.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Surprisingly, I was a bit cautious about it, but
Me too.
I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Portimao. Mugello, I think, I'm going to say 2022 again. I think all these tracks get better in 2022.
Yeah.
Imola, I was most excited about coming back.
Right.
And the actual race for Imola wasn't brilliant until the safety car.
No, it was a bit meh.
Yeah, and it's back now this year.
Yeah, because of Adelaide being cancelled, right?
Melbourne.
Oh, yeah. Do you know, I said it earlier in the podcast as well. Adelaide is what it used to be before Melbourne, right? Every round like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Melbourne's delayed, and I think
Bring
China
back Adelaide and Jordan. Sorry.
China is postponed, but I think cancelled. Imola's back, and it looks like Portimao might be coming back.
What would that be in place of?
The China race, allegedly.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So I get anything in 2022 when the cars can fall closer, theoretically, these tracks all become much better.
Yeah.
But probably I would agree with Portimao. I really liked that one.
There needs to be more of a balance between great tracks and tracks that pay a lot of money. Now, it is a business,
Mm-hmm.
but this season has proven you can balance them a bit better.
Yep.
So, let's hope that continues. I was a bit disappointed when they initially revealed the 2021 calendar, because I thought, all these interesting tracks have disappeared. But
Yeah,
Emila's
it's
coming
back
back,
to normal.
so
Yeah.
and potentially Portugal, so that'll be interesting.
I'm a little bit. I thought maybe. I know I didn't. I wasn't. I don't know what the contract status was, but I thought Hockenheim was. I was rumored to come back, but there's still no sign of that.
No.
Which, to be fair, I don't like that track in the dry. Anyway, I think
Yeah, same.
it's pretty boring in the dry. It's exciting when it rains.
Yeah,
but-
because then they go on the drag strip and have a crash.
exactly. Or Vettel just decides to fin it on his own. But yeah, next season's is back to normal, and that's it's exciting because there's good tracks coming back, like Canada, Japan.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
But then you've got the return of some not very good tracks. We've still got Spain, which is a awful.
Yeah,
track, I think.
that is one where the please change that. I mean, I'll take any other track in Spain, although they're probably not suitable for F1. But
No, I mean, I'm just looking for the
Alonso's back on the grid now, so you're not going to get rid of it though.
No, Paul Ricard's back. I'm not excited for that. Zandvoort's making its debut.
Oh, yes, that might be interesting. Well, no, it might be interesting in practice.
Yeah, again, I don't think it'll be a great racetrack.
No. Oh my god, can you imagine how orange the crowd will be? Oh, there won't be any crowd, thank goodness.
Well, September, so you never know. We might be back to normal by September. I think one of the directors of the race actually said they won't host it unless there's fans. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that's one that might be a.
Well, don't want to talk about it
TBC.
too much. This is an F1 podcast, but the British Touring Car season's been delayed,
Mm.
and I reckon that's. Well, I think it's even said we've even discussed it. I think in DMs that it's probably because they don't want to start it unless they're all hospitality and some fans.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be the same for a lot of these business cases of these tracks. So it should still change yet. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think most of this. Not to get too COVID, but our vaccine rollout seems to be going pretty well, and continental Europe doesn't. I think the likes of Germany are starting to get better, but France is having a terrible time.
Yep.
I think Spain, Italy are not doing too good. We are all adults here are supposed to be vaccinated by September, so
Holy moly!
I think by the end of Easter, we might be getting back to fans and at sports, at least in limited numbers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think.
Oh well, that's optimistic.
BTCC wise, that's a brilliant decision, and hopefully can get to Knock Hill, and
Fingers
hopefully
crossed.
by July at Silverstone we've got fans. Hopefully,
Yeah, but you're right. The rest of the countries around the world,
Brazil?
they could have, which is back on the calendar. Great to see that track return. We missed it this year, but what is the scenario going on there with the pandemic?
it's not good.
Yeah,
And they've got their own special variants, and America's still struggling, but obviously new president, they might do better.
yeah.
I think
It still takes time though.
Yep, I think Japan's still pretty much locked down. I think
Japan's
Singapore's pretty much locked down still.
Maybe Hanoi might get its chance.
I think we can all forget about that.
Yeah, we can actually now, can't we? Because the person in charge was corrupt, right? So never going to get it again.
Yeah,
Did they even finish building it? That's what I'd like to know.
probably not.
They probably. I don't know if they laid the asphalt, but
Mm.
they definitely won't finish the infrastructure and stuff.
No. So F1 2020 game might be the only time it's ever.
I
appeared.
feel bad. Yeah, so the only time it'll ever exist is F1 2020, the video game, and I feel bad for Codemasters developers because they had to spend time to put this track that'll never appear in there, and they weren't able to put the tracks that were actually raced in there.
Yeah.
Interesting though. I wonder if they're able to get Imola in for the next one.
Don't need to. It's on the official calendar.
Yeah, but last minute
No.
change.
Well, when's the new game out?
I don't know.
Midsummer, normally.
Yeah, midsummer. Yeah, something like that.
Come on, you're the.
I know.
basically the
I
expert
know.
now.
I can't remember when it came out.
You're the professional.
I know they had. It would be very, very difficult to develop it because just as an F1 game tangent, they're in the process of being bought out at the minute.
Mm.
And there's COVID, so they won't be able to go visit the track potentially to take pictures of it and stuff like this. I don't know if it seems like they don't do that anyway at the minute. Based on
I don't think they do.
yeah, but that's there's potential COVID related things. I mean, they won't be able to get that in. I hope they can.
They'll have the assets from 2013.
Well, they've just used that. They're using the same game engine.
Yeah. So they'll be able to build something, and they're going to have to if it's on the official calendar.
Well, hopefully they can focus on Imola, and if there's any other changes, they can cry force majeure, can't they, and be all right with it.
Yeah. And Saudi Arabia, of course, making its debut.
Oh, that's another track they're going to have to make.
That no one's seen.
I don't really care for that.
Yeah, I'm not.
All sorts of political reasons there as well. Though it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, they just jail distance up with the thousands and murder journalists, and
they do what to journalists?
They murder. There's been a murder. So yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, it's skeptical.
Well, you can make cases against some of the other countries on the calendar.
Of course, you can.
Not being the most human rights friendly, but I think Saudi Arabia is a pretty egregious one, and they're obviously getting a nice big wad of cash in their back pocket for that.
Yeah, I don't know why Saudi Arabia doesn't decide to try and go the motorsport route for tourism, but that seems to be their thing. I mean, the Dakar Rally, which just finished this week, that was all in Saudi Arabia now, and there's big funding behind that. There's a Formula E race. I don't know what the next calendar looks like, but there was last year. There's a really terrible documentary about Formula E in Saudi Arabia, which I watched this year.
Oh no!
Which there's even a scene where there's someone. It might even be John Tott actually from the FIA going, "Isn't it amazing how women can drive in this country now?" It's like, it's a bit cringy.
Yeah, I mean that's their big thing, is getting sport into the country to make their image look better.
Yeah.
I
suppose they've got to start somewhere, But.
Well, I'd rather started with not killing journalists and beheading people rather than getting the WWE and F1 to come and do shows.
WWE are going there, are they? Well,
they do. They've got a multi-year deal with them.
Right.
That's about 2 shows a year.
Right.
Worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right. They've certainly got a lot of money to throw around to.
Well, Anthony Joshua fought there last year or the year before.
Did he really? Right.
For a hell of a lot of money. So they've got the money and they're going to splash it on sport.
Yep.
I just think it's a shame that F1 decided to take that.
Yep. I know there was some uproar on Twitter about that, although, that's Twitter. But I agree with some of those sentiments.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they do all the We Races 1 and taking the knee and everything at those races.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to get put to the side a little.
I think the banners will be there and they'll just smile.
Yeah, pretend nothing's happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for some of the classics to come back, but I just think we need to get a couple of the duds off the calendar.
Yep.
We need to get rid of Spain, we need to get rid of France, we need to get rid of Russia.
Yep.
But I'm excited. I'm disappointed the season's delayed because I was starting to get F1 fever again.
Do you have the start date there? I don't know it, but
28th of March.
Oh well, we can manage that.
I've not got any football to watch in Scotland.
Oh yeah,
I've got nothing.
Well, there's no yeah. Although the Monte Carlo Rally is supposed to happen next week, maybe. So that's something for me to watch, I guess.
When is the BTCC back then? Is it summer?
I think it was May. Was it
May?
Oh, hang on. Let me just do a live Google. This podcast is brought to you by. I'm going to mute myself so you can't hear me typing.
I should probably fill in this gap with some interesting.
I was just going to say that. I know you don't edit it much, but you might want to edit that bit out.
No, I hope people use Overcast and then have like the silent skip feature enabled.
Yeah, I use Pocket Cast and it does the same thing. Yeah, well, the website here says April, but that seems like the old date, doesn't it?
Yeah, don't ever rely on the BTCC website. God.
Thanks for historic our website.
It gets updated once a year.
Right, I'm going to go to the news story. I like how it doesn't have HTTPS, so it still says not secure when you go on it. It's like, come on, welcome to 3 years ago. Oh, right, yeah, May. I should have just said May, and it would have been fine. 8th of May.
8th of May.
Thruxton it starts with, though.
Ooh. Nice little mixed up calendar there.
Yep. Anyway, we probably should do a separate podcast about British touring, because we've gone on quite a while about Formula 1 2020.
Yep.
The highlight of this podcast was definitely that white space, white noise there. That was special.
That was my hangover kicking in. And, just
Nice.
just stop. That was F1 2020.
Oh, was it? F1 2022, the preview.
Exactly.
Who knows?
We've skipped the coming season preview and just went straight to the
We're just
season
gagging
preview.
for 2022.
I want to see a title fight.
Yeah, of course.
Watching back the early 2010s, where there was title fights, makes me want it more. So
Yep.
I'm hoping next year we'll have it, and I'm hoping this year actually that Red Bull can put up a proper fight.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
We'll wait and see for testing. I think end of February.
Yep, something like that probably. As usual with testing, I read too much into times, even though I shouldn't, and all the media goes along with it as well, and everybody gets all excited that Ferrari. This is the year Ferrari's going to do it. Everybody, and even actually, normally the first round of the year is not necessarily clear what the form is. For whatever reason, the first race of the year is always a bit like, oh, well, bloody hell, look at Haas on the podium. And then, they all Kevin Magnussen finishing the podium, I remember that. I remember Alonso saying, now we can fight. All of those were false dawns, so.
Yep.
But
So
can't wait for it.
What's your one big, bold prediction for next year? Give me something mad.
Oh, man. Sir Lewis Hamilton is going to win his 8th title.
Is that your big, bold prediction for the year? Aye.
It's big and bold. What about yours?
Well, hopefully that David Croft gets sacked, but that doesn't look like it's happening. My big
God.
bold prediction for next year is that McLaren will win a race.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, I probably should think of a proper one then, but that's
Because
good.
I'm just thinking that the tracks that we've got this year, we're back at like Monaco and the other street one I've forgotten that I always crash on at the castle.
Oh,
Baku.
Azerbaijan. Yeah.
Azerbaijan. I'm just thinking of all those kind of tracks where chaos can happen.
Yeah, good point.
And
All right, I'm going to say that Charles Leclerc has a mathematical chance of winning the title within the last 5 races.
the last 5 races.
Yeah.
So he needs to be within 130 points.
Something like this. I can't do the maths.
So within 130 points by the last 5 races.
Yeah. That wasn't very big or bold, was it? It's too obscure.
Well,
The point being, really, that he's won a race and finished on the podium. Let's say that.
well, I'll take a note of these and we'll check.
Okay. Let's
We'll
hope
check
you
for
lose that
next
piece
year.
of paper.
Yeah, we'll check. So by the Mexican Grand Prix, he's still got a chance.
Yeah.
I'm game for that. Let's see how we get on next year then.
Right. McLaren to win a race and Leclerc to do something.
Yeah, we're quite to stop
Brilliant.
you there. All right. So I think that'll wrap up our 2020 review. We'll be back in March now. Sad face for the Bahrain Grand Prix starting. The real track, not the fun mad track.
Aw.
I know. But I'm excited to get it back. We might do something after testing, but if not, we'll be back at the end of March.
Yep. Sounds
So,
good.
Thanks, Tom, for jumping on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, pleasure. We've kept it brief this time.
Exactly. I was aiming for an hour, and I have no idea what we're at. So.
Like recording saying 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Oh dear. Well, it gives you something to listen to for like half a shift at work. So we provide you with,
We're helping you out in lockdown.
we give you quantity here.
Yeah. But not the quality.
Maybe not the quality, but we give you quantity.
All right.
So, all right, thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
And
Thank you
we'll
very
see
much.
you again in March.
All right.
Bye.
See you then. Bye.